Look at that. It appears we might be live. Just gonna double check, make sure that everything's working correctly. For now, if anybody has already popped in, congratulations on your amazing reflexes, considering the stream just started. There's our YouTube notification. Bet on the Rate tournament? No, no thank you. Alright, YouTube sent out the notification. Don't know if Discord did yet, but then again, I haven't been getting them recently, so it wouldn't shock me if they didn't. Got 1 like on the stream already, that's good. Oh, and our first chatter is Henry Kobyla saying, hello, exclamation point. And Hunter says, pro gaming. Looks like we've got the stuff. Alright. Looks a little weird. Okay, it's not doing it anymore. I was going to say it was catching on the turns. It was screwing up my frame rate. Alright. It's been several weeks since we did this, so I'm not exactly sure where the heck we left off. Okay, I remember. The main quest, we left off right before Nest of Vipers. Definitely Not Estonian Gamer says, new stream! Yes, definitely not Estonian Gamer. This is, in fact, a new stream. Well, I mean, it's Game Come Deliverance, but I'm currently streaming. And he says, yes, more. Crazy D Entertainment says, well, the like button does work then. Well, that's good. More streams. Also, Heop. Okay, Heop indeed. My printer's making noise. Probably should have turned that off, huh? Well, anyway. Neil says, hello, recently found your channel, love your content. Thank you, Neil. I'm glad you love the content. And it's awesome that you found the channel. So what we could do is we could continue on with Nest of Vipers, you know, sneak into the Cuman camp at Przemyslowiec. If we're going to do that, we're going to dress up as a Cuman. We still haven't started courtship, and, you know, that can kind of wait. Playing with the Devil was that side mission in, Really? My printer's going to do that. I gotta shut off my printer. That was annoying. Anyway. Jonas Goldendick says, today's handsomely trimmed lumberjack has been brought to you by Manscaped. Been proudly clearing forests since 2016. But you can't see that, can you? When I stood up, it didn't show below the belt, did it? Estonian Gamer says, I don't care what you do, I need more streams. Nico, let's stream. Nico's back. Yes, I am back. I came back from the, beyond the veil of invisibility that shrouds me when I walk 2 feet to the left. In any case, my annoying printer has now been silenced. So, I think what we should do, right off the bat, is just disguise ourselves as a Cuman and sneak into Przemyslowiec. It's unfortunate that we're all the way back in Rate, because it's going to be a ride. But let's dress up as a Cuman. Well, first of all, let's see if we have Cuman stuff. We should, because I've been collecting stuff in every stream. Alright, Cuman stuff. Well, we'll start with a Cuman Captain. Probably that one, I guess. Cuman Captain's helmet is always a good one. Let's see if we've got... there's not that many options. So I guess we're going to go with the... Cuman riding boots. That might be enough stuff to make a full suit of armor. Let's take our... Well, let's check. Okay, good. The inventory is down, so... We'll put our current stuff into the horse pocket. And then we'll see if we can make ourselves a full suit of Cuman armor. We shouldn't have to change our weapons. Especially considering we're already using a Cuman shield, so that's good. So there's our captain. There's our breeches. Spurs. Boots. Bam braces. Hauberk. Harness. Helmet. Look at that. We look like a human. We're not nearly as human as we possibly could be. Missing out on quite a bit of stuff, but, anyway, what did it say? I did not do that to my printer, no. I take the word back. That is bad. Good. I hope you regret it. We can take our coifs back from our horse and pop those back on. Because those won't affect our disguise. And will give us significantly better armor for when it inevitably turns bad and against us. We have vambraces, which is arm armor, so we don't have gloves. I think we look pretty cool. I don't think we look bad. We don't have any leg armor, which is unfortunate. I bet you I could sneak some on. What was our... Alright, so we could probably sneak these mail chasses on. And... Oh, we can't do the composite chasses. But we can probably do some brigandine chasses, so we'll take those. I want to make sure that our armor's as good as possible so that inevitably when our disguise fails, we actually can fight our way out of there. Okay, that looks pretty human. Oh, I think I'm going to sneeze. I was right, I did sneeze. Alright. I didn't mean to do that. Alright. Also, you do look cool. Thank you. Glad you think I look cool. I'm wearing a black shirt. It being the coolest color of shirt. And one of my favorite shirts to wear in general. I like to wear a collar when I stream. Makes me feel significantly fancier than otherwise. Otherwise, I'd just be sitting here wearing a t-shirt. Which, to be fair, I've done sometimes in streams. There have been t-shirt streams. But I prefer not to. So, how's the weather where everyone else is living? Gesundheit. Thank you, Jonas Goldendick. Where I am, the weather has been sketch. It's been cold. It hasn't been as cold as it was, because it's definitely warmer than it was for a little bit there. We've been getting some snow, but it's also, you know, we've had enough days where it gets above freezing so that some of the snow melts, so it's not accumulating ridiculously fast. But because of that constant melt and refreeze, we've been having a nice, stable overlayering of ice. So there's like 30 layers of ice on everything outside, so that's fun. Today when I was driving the kids to school, I was slipping all over the road. It was bad, so it was pretty slippery today. I knew when I went out to start the car, I could feel the gentle rain, but it was definitely cold enough that I knew that it was freezing immediately when it landed. So I figured it was going to be slippery, but it was probably the slipperiest day so far this year. Estonian Gamer says, yeah, we are all emos. Neil says cold. Well, yes, it's cold. It's winter. But outside of just plain cold, you know, the weather has such variation that I like to ask. Because, depending on where you all live... Definitely Not a Stunning Gamer says, what is the Fahrenheit freezing point? 32 degrees Fahrenheit is 0 degrees Celsius. Because that is the point at which water freezes in Fahrenheit. So, like I said, what we've been having... Aw, I feels quite hungry. Let's eat. Dang, I should have eaten out of the pot before I left. I'm gonna eat up all my dried fruit. It's okay, we'll make it. Look at that, we're at 99. Golden. Anyway, because for a while there, we had some days that were consistently below 0. So 0 Fahrenheit is significantly lower than 0 Celsius. So we had quite a bit of a stretch of time that we were real cold. But now that we're up into the, like, 20s, low 30s on average, it's a considerably warm winter for Wisconsin. Definitely Not a Stunning Gamer says, Celsius makes more sense. Freezing point of it has you said at 0. Yeah, I'm not arguing that Celsius doesn't make more sense. I think metric measurements in general make a lot more sense and are just easier. You know, I'm so used to using imperial measurements that I'm probably always going to. But it also only takes an hour to learn metric measurements. You know, it's easy because everything's, for when you're talking about the metric system in particular, everything's a multiple of 10. So it's extremely easy to know centimeters, millimeters, meters, you know, kilometers. It's, as long as you know the prefix and what that stands for, you can immediately know the other one. So it's very simple, and I agree. I agree the metric system is very, very simple, and it makes a lot more sense than the imperial standard system. The problem with it is the United States will almost certainly never convert for 2 reasons. One of which being the United States is one of the biggest, richest, most powerful countries in the world with, I don't know, it's not the most populous by far. There's at least, I can think of at least 3 countries that for sure have a way bigger population than the United States. But there's also a lot that have way less, because the United States has a population of 330 or 40 million people. You know, so it's a big, powerful country that, A, isn't going to bend its way, even though the rest of the world does it a different way. And B, it would just be prohibitively expensive. Even if you just consider, like, switching over to the metric system for, like, speed limits and stuff like that. All the cars would have to be retooled so it was kilometers instead of miles per hour. All the road signs would have to be redone, everything. Weight limits, all of it. You know, it would be super expensive, and that's just one function of trying to convert a country the size of the United States to the metric system. So that's what I'm saying. It'll never happen. As much as I would support it, if people started seriously talking about it, like let's say the government wanted to spend another $3 trillion on something, converting to the metric system would make sense, in my opinion. I know a lot of people would really hate that because they're so used to inches and feet, but I think we'd adapt just fine. Stonian Gamer says, man, I have a hard life. I have to change personality 3 times a day. Yeah? Stony Gamer says, what are the numbers of things in Fahrenheit system? Sorry, don't know how to spell it. Well, as I already said, the freezing point of water in Fahrenheit is 32 degrees. I know that in Celsius, 0 is freezing for water, and Celsius this is, and 100 is boiling. I can't remember the boiling temperature of water in Fahrenheit. It's obviously higher, but I don't remember exactly what the number is. Lexi1397 says, don't worry, I'm here now. Hello, Lexi1397. Neil says, I'm from India, one of the most populated countries. That's what I'm saying. I know for sure that India's got a population 3 to 4 times the size of the United States, as does China. Because I believe both of them are considerably over 1 billion people. So significantly bigger population-wise. And I think there's a couple other countries that are up there, either up in or near the billion point. So, like I said, the United States per capita has the most money and all sorts of other stuff, but population-wise, well, and we're one of the biggest countries just landmass-wise, but population-wise, there's several that are significantly higher. The Stunning Gamer says, I mean Imperial, sorry, I'm also stupid. That's fair. So the Imperial Standard Unit system of measurement includes things like inches, feet, yards, instead of, you know, centimeters and meters. I think the biggest failing of the metric system, measurement-wise, is simply that there is not a great middle ground between centimeters and meters. That is a commonly used one, at least, because even if one exists, it's not one that most people are aware of. So when people using the imperial system, they'll use feet, because that's between a yard and an inch. It just offers slightly more accuracy, or I guess maybe not accuracy, but that feeling of the middle ground number. So it's one of the reasons why even people who use the metric system for everything else will still sometimes measure their own height and the height of people in the standard, in the imperial standard. So they'll talk like, I'm 6'2", because when you say your height in meters, it sounds much shorter. You know, and since most of media is coming from the United States, or most popular media comes from the United States, at least the stuff with the biggest impact, because obviously a place like India with Bollywood produces a lot quantity-wise, even if it doesn't have the same cultural impact. Let's see if they talk to me. They didn't talk to me. Anyway, like I said, that's one example where you'll see even people who follow the metric system will use the imperial system for some things. Neil says, Fahrenheit boiling point is 212 degrees. Thank you, Neil. I knew it was significantly higher, I just couldn't remember what the exact temperature was. Bullet says, there is only 2 things Americans will use the metric for, ammo and drugs. Yeah, and even still, you have things like shotgun ammo is still measured in gauge. you know, the diameter there is a gauge instead of done with millimeters like we use for pretty much everything else. So, interesting. Drugs. Yeah, we do use it for drugs. Milliliters. Stuff like that, you know. You're right, Bullet. You got America by the nose. You know what they're up to. Let's see if these guys let me up into there. The Cumans let me sneak around. See, that's all you gotta do. You dress up like a Cuman and you can come up here, no sweat. Platoon Mech says, I've never heard of someone not from the USA, Liberia, and the third one saying his height's an Imperial. I have. I know lots of people from the UK. I talk to people from all over the world because of, you know, the fact that I spend a lot of time making stuff for YouTube. And so I talk to other YouTubers. The vast majority of people that I know from, like, Western society, so the UK, France, Spain, a lot of your stuff, Germany, Poland, Italy, you know, that sort of Europe. Most of them, when I ask them how tall they are or if it comes up or whatever, they'll say like, oh, 5'7" or 6'1" or whatever, you know. That's been my experience. If I talk to someone from Asia, especially India, usually they'll answer in metric. They'll say, oh, I'm 1.3 meters tall or something like that. So, and now that I think about it, not just the United States, but pretty much all of North America, Canada, and Mexico as well, have typically, in my experience, answered using the Imperial system. Cam the Canaman says, just got here. Are you wearing Cuman armor right now? Yes, I am. That was the first thing we did in the stream, was building our suit of Cuman armor so we could sneak in. Stony Gamer says, I mean, here we use, like, finger for measurement. Finger? Like... finger? It's a weird measurement.
I can see a long way from that steeple, and those archers up there, definitely going to be a problem.
They might be a problem.
What a stinking shithole. I wouldn't want to live here.
Dang, I didn't bring any poison with me. Should have brought poison. That would have been fun. Platoon Max, I'm from Germany, though. You sure these people are not just speaking to you in Imperial because they know you're using... No, I mean, I can't possibly predict what their motives are for using the Imperial system to tell me their height. Like I said, it's been my experience that they typically do. Maybe they're just being polite and they're like, I don't want to confuse this guy or make him think that I'm only 1'3" or something like that. It's possible. But like I said, it's so many people, especially from the UK. But like I said, pretty much everyone and it's not a rule. Like I was talking to someone from the Czech Republic not too long ago who was using the metric system the whole time, saying everything in meters. And, you know, then I have to sit there in my head and be like, okay, well, that's about 6 feet tall, you know, to convert it for myself. So it's possible that they were just being polite and converting it for me. But I have no way of confirming or denying that. Estonian Gamer says, also, Nico, they say that because they know you American. Oh, they say that because they know I'm American. Like I said, I'm not saying that's for sure not true. I'm just saying neither I nor you has any evidence to prove that they don't just use that in their common everyday experiences. Because like I said, when you think about it, the media that you consume, the songs you listen to, the TV shows that you watch, the movies that you watch, some of it is surely made in the country that you're from. But is all of it? Or do you watch popular American media and listen to popular American songs and play popular American video games? I would be shocked if you didn't, considering, you know, a channel like mine has a lot of success from a game like Red Dead, which is an American video game, you know, things like that. And so you absorb a lot of the imperial measurement system in popular media and popular culture, and so it's natural to integrate that into your life, especially when talking to other people. Redneck Zeus says, howdy. Hello, Redneck Zeus. Neil says, how does finger work exactly? Pardon my curiosity. Yes, I'd be interested to hear how the finger measurement works as well. I'm familiar with using things like links and chains and acres and hectares, which I know a lot of people are not familiar with. How do you use finger measurement? Crazy D Entertainment says, giggity. Definitely not a Estonian gamer says, yeah, I'm just 6'7". That's nice. Quite tall. Ben Tyler says, depends. I've heard from others that ounces and divisions of it when talking about flours. When talking about flour? Yeah, like for cooking. A lot of, again, like I said, it really depends where you're... So, specifically with cooking, a lot of recipes are either old, and so... in many cases will actually predate the metric system because obviously the imperial standard system is the older universal system. And so you'll get like a lot of old French recipes I've seen, even though most of France has fully adopted the metric system for a long time. You'll see a lot of old French recipes still using the imperial measurements. So they'll still have cups, ounces, you know, pounds, stuff like that. Instead of using some sort of a metric system like milliliters or something. So yeah, I've seen that too. And then, obviously, a lot of recipes also come out of America, where we still use the imperial system, so you won't see metric measurements in any of that either. Estonian Gamer says, also, please, Nico, explain imperial stuff, like how much inches in feet. Well, there are 12 inches in a foot. That one's easy. There are 3 feet in a yard. So a yard is just slightly shorter than a meter. I think there's like 2.87 centimeters in an inch. Centimeter obviously being a metric one. Interestingly though, because the imperial standard system doesn't have a smaller common use than the inch, we actually will commonly use centimeters, which is funny because they don't directly translate into inches because they're metric instead of imperial. So that's an interesting fun factoid for you there. That's why a lot of school children here in the United States, they'll learn inches and feet instead of, you know, meters, inches, feet, and yards instead of meters, but they will still learn centimeters because they need to have something smaller to measure with than the inch. So, fun fact there, at least in my opinion. You'd think that we would either create a alternative or something that directly translates, like there are 4 of them in an inch or something like that. We call it a sub-inch, or I don't know, something, you know? And that way we'd have our own one instead of trying to do a weird partial conversion using a metric one instead, but, I don't know, whatever. Lexi1397 says, at least I'm not the only. Crazy Dan Entertainment says, to the knuckles, clearly. I get it. Haha, we're talking about finger measurement. That's a depth measurement, though. That's not universally useful, though. Definitely not. Estonian Gamer says, Nelly, I mean, you use thumb because you know a thumb is like 5 to 7 centimeters. Where the heck am I? I think I maybe went a little too far to the right because I think I'm supposed to be over here. That should be Merhoyed. Right? Yeah, it looks like Merhoyed. Neil says I'm 6'1". I am... how tall am I? I think I'm somewhere between 6'3" and 6'4". I think. It's been a while since I did a real careful measurement to my height. Clearly I'm not getting over this fence, so I'm just going to ride around it. How tall is everyone else? You can use metric if you want to try confusing me, and I'll see if I can translate that in my head. But, Stunning Gamer says, I hear US schools don't teach cursive anymore. Is that true? I don't know if it's true. From what I've seen, it's probably regional, because I understood for a couple of years there, I think it was kind of universally stopped, but then I think there was enough criticism and pushback that a lot of schools were like, yeah, we're just going to teach it anyway. So I think some schools are teaching it now, and some aren't. I don't know. When I was in school, it was taught, so I can write in cursive. And if they don't teach it in school, I'll teach my children how to write in cursive. So... I confused them all the other day by labeling, they each got a toy for Christmas that's identical, and so I labeled each one of them with their names, and I wrote them on there in cursive, and the 2 older ones who can read were like, what? What does this say? So that was funny. Alright, what else do we have? I hear US, oh wait, Redneck Zeus says 5/16 of an inch. Well, yeah, we can do that, but I think that gets a little complicated, doesn't it, Zeus, if we start going down into fractions? I understand them from wrenches and using other tools, but it's not something that you'd want to use trying to teach school children how to measure things commonly. They're just going to use centimeters, obviously. Lexi1397 says, I'm not for sure, but I think they started teaching again. I think so, too. Dave was too busy scourging over Leanna. Don't mind him. That's fair. Crazy D Entertainment says he is 5'7". Lexi1397 says she is 5'1". Redneck Zeus says I'm 6'1". Hello, Redneck Zeus. 7 Jersey 2 says I love your Red Dead gun variant videos. Thank you. I had a lot of fun with those because the gun customizing system in Red Dead was a lot of fun to play around with. So I'm glad you enjoy them. Bullet says I'm roughly 6 foot. Dave Zilla says 5'10". I think my younger brother Noah is 5'10". Definitely Not a Stonian Gamer says cent inch, Nico's new addition to the Imperial system. That sounds... the problem with that is, and now you'd think, okay, that's an accurate sounding one because you're using cent, but the problem with going cent inch was that would have to be 1/100th of an inch, which would make it too small. That's too small of a useful measurement. If we're using the prefix accurately, because cent means 100, and using it there would mean that it's, 1/100th of an inch. So, that's too small of a measurement to be useful. At least for the vast majority of things. Does 6'1" mean 6'1" inches? Yes, it does, hypermapping. 6, and then you have the little apostrophe mark. The apostrophe after a number means foot in Imperial. And then if you have the quotation marks, so 2 lines after the number, that's inches. So when you see 6'1", quote, that means 6'1" inches. So, Estonian Gamer says, I am 251 centimeters long. That doesn't sound very long. Neil says, yes, hypermapping. It means 6'1". Okay, good. Everyone's also saying it. Cam the Canneman says 5'10" here. Well, that is close to average. You're all the 5'10" people, because I feel like I've seen that number probably the most commonly here. That is 1 inch above average for men in the United States, I believe. I think the average for men in the United States is 5'9". Like I said, I know that at my tallest, which was, I think, sophomore or junior year in high school, when I was working out regularly and going to the chiropractor like every other day, I was 6'4", like on the nose. Now I'm somewhere, I might be right over 6'3", so far I think I'm the tallest one in the chat, so woohoo. Lexi says, well, so far I'm definitely the shortest. Hypermapping says 5'3" here. So just slightly taller than Lexi1397. Then, of course, we need to correlate that with age, because if you're 5'3" and only like 14 years old, there's a really good chance you're probably going to grow some more. Renixu says, I moved a lot. One school didn't teach cursive the next grade. The next one I went to taught it the previous year, so I missed out on learning cursive in school. I had to learn it on my own time. Yeah, I was going to say, I think it's school to school in the United States who does and doesn't teach cursive, and then obviously, yeah, you're going to have a lot of variety based on what grade they teach it in. For me, I think they taught it in, like, I don't know, 3rd or 4th grade. I can't remember. It was so long ago. And I used it for a long time, so I'm still really fluent in it. Of course, most Americans that write anything in cursive don't write 100% in cursive, and if they do, it's not 100% clinical cursive, which is, I think, why you see the move away from it, is because it's such a varied way of writing that from one person to another, it could look very, very different. So, for example, one thing that cursive is harder for people to adapt with is a lot of the capital letters don't look anything like the letter when it's printed, right? But not enough to give us too much. So, like, for example, the Q. The capital Q looks really weird and really different from a printed capital Q. And so you'll see a lot of people that will just put in the printed Q, or they'll kind of do like a curvy version of a printed Q instead. You get what I'm saying? So the variety there, and then there's the people who just can't remember how to actually do them, and will totally screw them up. And so I think that's why cursive stopped being broadly believed to be such a valuable skill to write in, because between one person to the next, even if they were all taught in school how to do it, they're maybe not going to do it right, you know? Glad everyone's liking the stream. Neil says, what is everyone's favorite game of all time? It's hard to say exactly. The best I can do is narrow it down to my top 3, okay? Because they're so close, and it just depends on my personal mood. So my top 3 favorite games of all time are Red Dead Redemption 2, and these are in no particular order. Kingdom Come Deliverance, which is the game we're playing now, and The Witcher 3. All 3 of them are ridiculously good games that do so much right and so little wrong. You know, I've got complaints about any of them that, you know, I'd rather have it one way, and that's why I love playing on PC, because I can download little value of life mods and change tiny little, you know, tweak little itty-bitty things here and there to make it fit my personal tastes a little bit better.
No, sir.
Never mind.
I didn't do any sabotage.
But now we must get ready.
Lexi says Red Dead Redemption 2. Neil says Witcher 3. Ben Smith says, cursive takes longer to write. When I was in high school, I stopped using it. See, it depends. I think that totally depends on the person, because it was actually designed to write much faster. The problem, then, is just penmanship. Because if you don't have good penmanship, then even if you can write faster with cursive, it's almost impossible to read. So if you have good penmanship, and you know how to write cursive well enough that you don't have to think about it, it's actually significantly faster to write in. Which is why, in high school, where I took lots and lots of handwritten notes, I did most of it in cursive. Because I could go way faster. I could go word for word, you know. Damn, I forgot the fun phrase. Verbatim. That's Latin. Every teacher, I could word for word take basically 100% of what they said, note-wise, writing in cursive, when everyone else was doing like 3-word bullet points and struggling to keep up. So it totally depends on the person. For me, I can write faster in cursive than I can printing. Especially if I'm trying to print. I can write in cursive far more legibly than I can printing. If I'm printing and I want it to be very legible, I either have to go really slow or do engineering writing, which is where you do it all in caps instead of uppercase and lowercase. Because if I'm trying to write quickly and I'm not being careful with printing, all my lowercase letters get super sloppy. So, Dave Zill says, Neil understands the gravity of the like button. I sure hope so. Cam the Canneman says, Final Fantasy VII Original. Classic choice. Bullet 315 says, hot dogs, horseshoes, and hand grenades. That's where close counts? I've never heard hot dogs before in that one. Lexi says, Red Dead 1, The Witcher 3 is 2, then Kingdom Come Deliverance is 3. Neil says, I love Final Fantasy VII too, loved the remake too. Dave Zilla says, KCD, Fallout 3, and Skyrim, also solid choices. I'm also a big fan of the Elder Scrolls games and the Fallout games. So, if I was doing a top 5, Skyrim and probably Fallout 3 would probably also be on there. I liked Fallout 4. I didn't hate it as much as a lot of people, but I do see a lot of the criticisms people had with it. Like, I agree with some of them. I personally really did like the settlement crafting system, and I spent probably most of my time playing with that. Other than mods, obviously, because, you know, I spent a lot of time playing with mods too. But, the settlement crafting system, I think a lot of people hated it because it kind of felt mandatory, and I don't think a system like that should be mandatory in a game. But having it as a function that can have such a big effect was definitely something I enjoyed. So, I did like Fallout 4. Still do. I just don't play it that much, because for some reason, Fallout is one of those games that just, for me, never translated well onto the PC. It's not nearly as fun to play on PC. When I played that when I was playing it on a PlayStation, and it just worked better. I feel like it's because Bethesda's shooting mechanics kind of suck, and I don't like playing their games on mouse and keyboard because they feel weird and janky. But if you try playing them with a controller, you don't have aim assist, and so the shooting controls really, really, really suck on PC. So that's just been my experience why I haven't had as much fun with Fallout on PC as I did on console. Now Skyrim is a different case because that one I can play either on controller or on mouse and keyboard, and it doesn't bother me nearly as much. And for the combat mechanics in Skyrim, it's sword and bow, which is entirely different. You don't need nearly as much finesse to the aiming system to make it workable. I should switch my clothing back over, because I'm going to actually go into combat now. Let's get our good armor on. Milanese, nobles, signet ring, and that. Good, we all Gucci. Let's put this stuff back in our horse. There we go. Stony Gamer says, that was a spelling mistake. I'm 198 centimeters. It means 6 foot and 5.953 inches. How specific. What else do we got? I fell behind, so now I have to look over to the right. Oh, crap. Probably should have been looking at the screen a little bit more. Redneck Zeus says, I'm a terrible note taker. Lexi1397 says, damn, Skyrim as well, lol. Right? There's a lot of good games out there. I mean, just not recently. What do we got? Dave still says, I'm an all caps guy. Like I said, if I'm printing, it's called engineer writing, because in engineering a lot of times you'll be taught to do it that way just because it's much harder to write something that can't be interpreted if you're doing all caps. So if I'm printing, I typically resort to all caps. Either that or I have to go really slow if I want it to be nice and neat and legible. Bullet says, it's a VR shooting game. What is? Fallout? I've never tried it in VR. Tried something the other day in VR with my wife that I've never experienced before. It was interesting. Don't know if I loved it though. Stony Gamer says, I can write, print in engineer. I just make the name / sentences huge. Neil says, I unfortunately never play Skyrim. Should I play it? I love it. It's one of the best games ever made in my opinion. It doesn't have as good of writing as previous Elder Scrolls games does, but it's... Well, and if you're a fan of like magic in video games, which I'm typically not. Hopefully I like Hogwarts Legacy, so we'll have to see how that goes. But typically magic's not my favorite combat system, so it didn't affect me that much, but magic in previous Elder Scrolls games was better than Skyrim's magic. More customizable, more impactful, just felt better overall. So I think Skyrim is still well worth playing, especially because you can get the Anniversary Edition, which has a ton of extra content in it and actually looks pretty good. So yeah, I mean, I would do it. Lexi agrees. She says, hell yeah, you should. Kahneman says, Elder Scrolls, Skyrim, and Morrowind are the best in the Elder Scrolls series, in my opinion. See, I played Morrowind and I played Oblivion before playing Skyrim, and I liked them both in time, and at the time of release for both of those games, they're basically the best games ever released, you know? But every time a new one gets released, that changes, you know? And the reason for that is, like, it's hard for me to go back to a less advanced game because it just feels dated and janky. And some games survive better than that, so like I still sometimes play Grand Theft Auto San Andreas because I bought it on Steam. And I love that game. And it still holds up pretty well. There's a few things in it that, like the old Rockstar shooting system, that I'm like, oh, I don't miss this. But it's still a pretty good game and definitely playable. I tried, even just a couple years after Skyrim came out, I tried just going back to Oblivion, and I couldn't stand it. I hated the UI, I hated the menu system, I hated how janky and slow and sloppy everything felt. So, like, it's hard for me to go back to play certain games, and Morrowind and Oblivion are two games that fall under that category. Same thing as, like, The Witcher 1 and 2. I'm very excited that they're getting an actual ground-up remake in Unreal Engine 5, to bring them to be a modern game, and I hope they change the systems too. I hope that when they say a ground-up remake, they're just going to take the story of those games and basically make it like The Witcher 3. Because, or maybe even better than The Witcher 3, you know, but because trying to go back, they're just so dated and janky and almost unplayable.
I'm glad to see you, Captain. I hope Henry's explained.
Stunning Gamer says, this chat is active. Like, well, that's good. I'm having fun talking to you guys today.
Who could possibly put together such a significant military force? And right under our noses.
We'll just have to find out. But I don't think we will until after a battle.
Lexi says, wink, wink. Redneck Zeus says, Skyrim does not interest me much. And I get that about people. My brother is one who he loves Fallout. I know he played Fallout 4 a ton. But when I tried, I was like, hey, you should try Skyrim, and he just had no interest in it. He never wanted to touch it. Which, I guess is fair, you know? Nico plays Stalker, Fallout for Real Men. I have played Stalker. I enjoyed it. I also like the Metro games. I agree that Stalker is definitely... I wouldn't say it's Stalker for real, or Fallout for Real Men. I'd say they're different enough games to be not an accurate comparison. Stalker's definitely more hardcore, and so... typically more enjoyable. I was looking at Atomic Heart recently, and I think that's going to be kind of like halfway between Fallout and Stalker. Because the big thing about Fallout isn't just, it's not just a casual Stalker, it's got a weird niche interest. So it's a bit more on the cartoony side, but that's on purpose. You know, it's kind of like Borderlands in that way, that obviously it could be way more realistic and not have as much kind of weird cartoon goofiness in it, but that's not the design of the game. It's not a bug, it's a feature, you know. Ben Smith says, did you know you can write WH_UI_game event log level equals 3 into console and it displays all XP gains?
battleground sounds
No,
inviting,
but
that bridge and the archers,
I'll take your word for it.
it's not an easy decision.
Neil says, yes, extremely excited for Witcher 1 Remake. Like I said, me too. When they announced that, now mind you, it's not being done by... Nico, that conversion was wrong. I am 6.2.8. Stupid converter. Sorry for writing it twice. You missed it. I saw it earlier, but I just assumed that it was a clerical correction, so I wasn't going to make too much of a comment out of it, but I saw it. Crazy D Entertainment says, my favorite game is Paperboy. Paperboy. Dave Zilla says, glory to Adam. Of course, Dave Zilla. I should know that you'd bring your religious zeal into the discussion. Cam the Cannon says, Chad is active because KCD is one of the best games of all time. When is KCD... So I agree. KCD is definitely one of the best games of all time. Not going to argue with that, even an iota. As far as when is KCD 2 going to be made, my hope is soon. That guy has a pole arm. Did I click him? Damn, that didn't kill him. Stop worshipping radiation. I agree. Holy crap, that guy's taken 2 full-blown shots and isn't dead. I want his spear. How is he not dead? That guy died first shot. I need that spear so I can go melee. There, he finally died. Holy crap, that guy had a lot of life. And a freaking spear. He would have been really dangerous to fight. Where'd his spear go? Give me your spear, buddy. Really? I'm gonna have to pick him up and move him just to get a spear. This is ridiculous. Never have I been so greatly inconvenienced. Where'd his spear go? Is it gone? Oh man, what a bummer. I really wanted that spear. Probably rolled into the grass. That sucks. Crazy Entertainment says, my hardcore playthrough just started yesterday on KCD. Lido23 says, do you think they will address the lack of diversity in KCD 2? I don't know if it's really something to address. They wanted to make a historically accurate game set in 1400s Bohemia, where diversity meant basically what you see it here. You have a bunch of Bohemians and humans. That's about as diverse as this region can be while still trying to claim to be historically accurate. So, I mean, it depends. Maybe if Henry travels somewhere else, like to sub-Saharan Africa, you'll suddenly see a lot of different looking people. Or if they maybe introduce some sort of a slave trade as a topic of discussion for the game. But that might cause a couple more problems controversy-wise. So, I have doubts that they'll do that. Dave, please extreme the religion of Adam. No, I don't think Estonian Gamer speaks for everyone. Boom, baby. Crazy D Entertainment says, it went where spears go. It probably did go where spears go. Robert Dumix says, no crap is holy. No crap is holy. Bullet 315 says, I only worship Gun Jesus, otherwise known as John Moses Browning. Gun Jesus. I don't know if John Moses Browning to Jesus is a great comparison. Maybe St. Paul or Moses. Thus the middle name there. But probably not Jesus. Stony Gamer says, yeah, I wouldn't imagine having black and Asian guys in KCD 2. It could happen, if the narrative were designed to make it happen. It's not an organic change, you know? So like I said, if you were to introduce something that topically explained why people who historically would not have been there in large numbers were suddenly there in any numbers, you could do that narratively. It's kind of like in... like we were talking about last week in House of the Dragon, how you can very easily explain the Valerians all being black. And it's because they're a seafaring people, and, you know, maybe a Valerian a generation or two back married someone from some other country that was black. And so therefore now they are. That's an easy narrative thing to explain. What's not an easy narrative thing to explain is a game set that's supposed to be historically accurate, set in a place where very few, if any, sub-Saharan Africans would have ever existed, and making a bunch of people look that way. You know, you have to have a narrative reason to do it. You have to say, well, they're mercenaries, or, like I said, the slave trade, or maybe it's a trading caravan that's traveled a really long way, and that's why they're here. You know, you can do that, but it needs to be part of the story. You have to explain it. What else do we have? YouTube will take down the stream if I start proselytizing to the masses the glory of Adam. Probably. They do have a zero Adam policy. We're doing pretty good with this fight. I don't think we've really lost that many men. I got stuck. I took out those archers pretty well, too. I'm just gonna let these guys handle that last person there. Neil says, most anticipated game of 2023, everyone. Mine is Resident Evil 4 Remake. Mine is probably Hogwarts Legacy. Even though I'm not that big of a Harry Potter fan, I still think the game looks like it's going to be a lot of fun. Plus, it comes out in like a month, or at least it's supposed to. We'll see if it gets delayed again. But Hogwarts Legacy is almost certainly my most anticipated game. Otherwise, I'm definitely looking forward to Starfield. Not a ton, just because the whole space environment doesn't super excite me. The biggest area of interest I have for Starfield is modding, because it's a Bethesda game, so you know it's going to be modded. Give me that spear! Ah! You dick. Stab me, will ya? Just want that spear. Of course, yes, I wanted the body. That's what I wanted to pick up. Let me have the Bohemian ear spoon. I'll take it. That's all I want. Pole arms are so ridiculously overpowered. Especially spears. Like, I like all the pole arms, but I don't want to put this pole arm down. But I suppose I'm gonna have to. I don't want to take my mace out. Give me my bow, boys. There, that took forever to draw out. Anyway, but yeah, like I said, Starfield is a maybe. Hogwarts, I'm definitely looking forward to. Like I said, I have my eyes on Atomic Heart and things like Wild West Dynasty, but I don't know. We'll have to see. If 2023 is anywhere near as disappointing as 2022 was for games actually releasing, then I don't envy any of the gaming industry. I love the spear. It's just a weapon of mass destruction when it comes to Kingdom Come Deliverance. It's such a good weapon. We should break through this gate at any point. Hopefully it lets me take my spear up to fight Runt, because I definitely want to. Masali says, hey Nico, sorry for not coming to watch the streams. You usually stream very late for me. Thankfully I managed to tune in today, only for a couple minutes. Well, I'm glad that you're here. No problem missing the streams, because you can always watch them as videos afterwards, you know. You can see them then. You don't miss as much. You can't interact, you know, but you still get to experience the stream. Don't miss the story, all that sort of stuff. So, glad you can be here for a while. Those archers should have killed you coming up the stairs. Definitely should have. Funny you picked up the body with one hand, because I'm strong. Neil says, yes, Hogwarts Legacy looks really promising. I think so. Like I said, just from gameplay and all that sort of stuff, I think it looks like it's going to be fun. Plus, how much certain people really seem to hate it. Cam the Cannaman says, like, one arm was reaching down to get the pole arm, but a body came up. Crazy the Entertainment. I would love to have the pole arm as a usable weapon to carry. Right? Well, the fixed pole arms mod was one of my favorite mods for this game. It allowed you to use pole arms like regular weapons. And so I just rocked a Bohemian Ear Spoon pretty much all the time. Eventually I got sick of it because it's too overpowered of a weapon. If you can just whip that out at any point, there's no army that can beat you in this game. Because you basically one or two hit everyone. You can stab really fast with it. And it just ignores all block and armor. It's ridiculously overpowered. Sir Dave Zill says, Ear Spoon is Chad AF. Yeah, the Ear Spoon is my favorite polearm in the game. There's a lot of them, like the Bardich, that's pretty fun to use, but the Ear Spoon is ridiculous. Come on, please still have it. I've never tried fighting Runt with a polearm. I want to see what happens. Nope, doesn't have it. Q, I believe, is blocking this. What the hell? Ooh, I master struck him. Suck on that, Runt. Blew your stamina right away. We immediately depleted all of Runt's stamina and then just trashed him. That was the easiest Runt fight I've ever had. And it's on hardcore. Oh man, I'm glad. I'm glad that went that easily. That was fun. A lot of people struggle with this game, but once you get used to it, it's really not that hard. Especially one-on-one fights. Now, obviously, if you're super underleveled and you have no armor or good weapons, and you're fighting a full knight in armor, yeah, that's hard. It's supposed to be hard. That's the historical context. A peasant doesn't just walk up with a wood-cutting axe and kill a fully armored knight, you know? That's super unlikely, but you get yourself some good armor, and trained up, and strong, suddenly it's not so hard anymore. Ben Smith says, maces are OP too. Well, obviously, maces and axes are the best weapons in the game. I switched away from swords a while ago. Sometimes I'll still do a playthrough where it's all two-handed swords, and then I care more about the combos and the finesse. But most of the time I like using axes and swords. Karina Smirnov says, came in at wipe that out. Nice. Cam the Cannon says, I hate this guy. I died so many times first time I got to this point. The first time I played the game, the very first time, I became Archer pretty quick, you know? And I, the first time I got up here, he comes at me and attacks me, and I drew back my bow and just headshotted him and killed him in one shot. But the funny thing is, if you do that, then you still have the sword finisher part, where you know, after you just shot an arrow in through his eye, then you finish him off with the long sword in the cutscene. So, yeah, that's what happened the first time I fought him. I think it was my third playthrough where I had the biggest struggle, because I just rushed the game to this point, you know, to get there basically when Henry was still weak, and I had to play it 4 or 5 times. And in that one I was fighting with a longsword, I had Herod's sword, and it was really hard to beat him with a longsword, and underleveled and under-armored. Dave Zill says, sweet counter shot, thank you. Crazy Entertainment says, nicely done. Estonian Gamer says, kids, go away! Too late. Yeah, that seems a little brutal for kids. Neil says, good game. Karina Smirnov says, whip! LOL. No, that went about as smoothly as you could expect. We didn't lose that many troops. Wasn't any glitching. I had this one playthrough where I was testing all sorts of stuff, and I got to no, maybe it was in my last playthrough, the one that's on my channel in videos. We got to this point, and the battle wouldn't load for some reason, and it took me a long time to figure it out. I had to, like, I think some of the mods I had in were conflicting or something like that, so I had to delete, like, all the mods and then do something else, and I finally got it working. But yeah, no, it went smoothly today. Cam the Cannon says, yeah, that's what happened to me. I rushed to that point only to be underpowered. Yeah, that's the thing. At the midpoint, because this is kind of the midpoint of the game or whatever, maybe a little bit closer towards the beginning, but it's what I would consider the midpoint. The end of Act 1, maybe, or the end of Act 2. So the fight is designed to be hard, and so he is a tough opponent. There was this one playthrough I did where I supremely over-leveled myself in the tutorial, just kept grinding absolutely everything until I was pretty well maxed out. I had most things maxed out. There's certain things you can't, like you don't know Master Strikes yet and stuff like that, and you can't block. So I was able to max out certain types of combat, strength, obviously. I got my bow skill pretty high, you know, there's things like that. And so in that playthrough, and then I also dicked around a lot in Talmberg. In that playthrough, when I got back to Skalitz and fought Runt for the first time, I was able to keep fighting him to a stalemate. You know, if you manage not to get hit by his club, you know, you can keep doing that, but you can't beat him. The game doesn't allow you to beat him. Eventually, if you go long enough, you'll just get knocked out. I believe we're back in Rete, right? This is where we get our yeah, we're in our castle bedroom. Feeling pretty fancy. Definitely not a Stony Gamer says, I am, of course, an ultimate Chad of a kid, so I can watch anything. Ben Smith says, I always max out with Bernard right before going on patrol in Rete. In this playthrough, I didn't, but once I went there and maxed out, you know, it was better. Crazy Entertainment says, I want to play without reading. I did that for the achievement from the Ashes DLC, where you have to make it all the way through the From the Ashes DLC being illiterate. It was hard. It was hard not being able to read for the whole game. Dave Zill says, too bad the ear spoon didn't go with you. I'd love to whip my Lucerne hammer off on Runt's face. It would have been fun if I could have brought the ear spoon in there and just went jab and taken him down immediately. But the fight went so smoothly that I don't have too many regrets. Let's get our stuff back from our horse so we can pop it into our chest. It's funny, I didn't loot anything during that battle. Lexi says, hey, are you feeling better, Karina? Yes, that's right. Karina Smirnoff was suffering some illness or something last time we were streaming. How are you feeling, Karina? Let's get ourselves repaired and bathed up and maybe, what would you call it, relaxed at the bathhouse before we go to visit with Sir Divish or whoever the heck we're supposed to talk to next. Let's go to the armor shop and get our stuff fixed up first. Pop that chunk in your trunk. Nice. Right, repairs. Select all. Close the deal. Does that fix my... I say maybe he can fix armor and weapons, but he might not be able to fix clothing. So we'll go here and do that.
Good day.
About repairs. Yep, look at that. Thought so. He can't do clothing. So, I've already filled in everyone on what my most anticipated game of 2023 is. And I held a poll on my channel a couple days ago. I don't remember exactly when. And on that poll, I listed... Let me think. I listed the new Star Wars game, Forgotten Jedi, or whatever the heck it's called. I listed Hogwarts Legacy, I listed Starfield, and I listed the new Zelda game, Legend of... I don't know, Link or some shit. Don't remember what it's called, but it's the sequel to Breath of the Wild. And out of those 4 games, in order of interest, based on like, I don't know, 7,000 or 8,000 people, however many people participated in the poll, Hogwarts Legacy was in the lead. I think the Star Wars game might have been second, then I think Starfield was third, and I think the Zelda one was last. So, what about you guys? Is yours one of those games or something else? What do you guys want to play in 2023? And keep in mind, I should say, only games that have actually been announced and given a release date in 2023. So it can't be Kingdom Come Deliverance 2. That's against the rules. Because if Kingdom Come Deliverance 2 was coming out next year, that would obviously be my most anticipated game. Same thing goes for like if Elder Scrolls 6 were announced to come out in 2023. That would be my number one, you know. Ben Smith says Manor Lords. Stony Gamer says Manor Lords, maybe. See, Manor Lords for me looks interesting, and there's a good chance I'll play it, especially because it's a single dev game. And I've spoken with the developer of that game on Twitter and stuff, and I think it looks good. I'll have to see. Because, for me, any game that spends too long in, like, an alpha or pre-release state is not a game I play. I want a game to get developed and released. I don't want a game that is constantly in a state of alpha where you're getting updates and it's getting changed and all that sort of stuff. I don't want that. If you want to have a game that evolves and has, like, an active community, release the game. And I'm not criticizing the dev here, because I know it's a solo dev. And so, you know, I'm not saying, hurry up, man. And it does look good for, especially for only being one person. Yes, it was Sir Radzig. But, get the game out, maybe have one alpha stage, and then hopefully not too long later, get the full release of the game out, and then if you want to keep that game active, update it. Add content through, like, DLCs or whatever. Something else to keep it going. Don't constantly have it in a state of alpha, it being updated and ruining save files and destroying the potential for mods, and... I don't like it. That type of gaming for me, it has gotten way too old, way too fast. So, the likelihood of me playing Manor Lords, if it gets a full release, like if they're just like, game's out, this is it, this is the 1.0 version, that's what it's going to stay, any updates from here are going to be content additions. You know, the game itself is going to stay like this. Then maybe. Then there's a good chance I play it. What the heck is going on? Why won't it let me in there? There, it finally let me in. But I don't know where Sir Radzig is. Now it won't let me out! There we go. Maybe he was up in the room upstairs. I just didn't see him. Maybe he's in here? No, that's Sir Hans. Well, can't find Radzig. I'll talk to Sir Hans. I'm gonna sneeze again. I'm back. Alright. Ooh, boy, we went back already. Bullet says, I only want Sons of the Forest. That's another one that's been announced and then delayed so many times that I'm not sure that by the time it releases I'll even play it. But if it does release next year, especially if it's during a period where I'm not already playing something else, there's a good chance I'll play it, because I did play a lot of the Forest. Crazy Entertainment says, I seek my seat in Slytherin House. I did the pre-sorting thing. And there's a video on my channel of doing that where you, like, make your account and everything, and you take a little test and it puts you in a house. And I, of course, got put in the most basic white girl house of Gryffindor. So, I guess I'll stick with that. Neil says, personally for me, Resident Evil 4 remake, but looking forward to Hogwarts Legacy as well. Stoning Gamer says that, I love city builders. See, I don't love city builders. I've played them, and sometimes I'm fine with them, but they're not my bread and butter. Karina Smirnov says, yeah, the doctor said they didn't find anything, but they said it might be because I'm dehydrated. I've been drinking water like crazy over the last couple of days. I'm starting to feel better. That's good. Karina Smirnov says, I didn't have a headache yesterday, but today is a different story. Starting Gamer says, ahem, Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlord. If you're saying that as my criticism of games that are constantly in a state of alpha, yeah, trust me, it annoyed me. It wasn't something that I was happy with. It's why after playing it for that initial burst, I kind of stopped playing it for a good long time. Until the full release came out. Because like I said, I'm just so sick of that style of game release. Ben Smith says, that's my only problem with KCD. It always feels like it's unfinished. I played it at release a lot, and I loved it. You know? Even the really annoying things like texture pop-ins and like a lot of clipping issues and stuff like that, they just didn't bother me that much, and I was able to play with them. Once they got to the point where they, like, it was the last update after all the DLCs were released and everything, I would say that's a finished, polished game. So, like, when I'm playing it now, it feels fine to me. It feels like an indie game. Like, it feels like a really, really high-quality indie game. It doesn't feel like a AAA game. Because it just feels a little too outdated. But, I don't know, it feels finished to me. It could be just that I fell in love with the charm of the game, and so I looked past the flaws that it obviously has. But, whatever the case is, it's one of my favorite games of all time. Dr. Zowden super chatted €5 and says, hey Nico, Bannerlord is awesome, Britannia all the way. I'm doing a Prima Nocta run, breeding all clans out. That's fun. That's a fun roleplay. I agree. I do love Britannia. My three favorite factions to play in Bannerlord are Vlandia, Britannia, and Sturgia in no particular order. I like them the most. The Empire is the first one I ever played as, and I don't hate it. And I'm actually starting to experiment a little bit more with the Eagle Rising Dawn of an Empire mod, which kind of brings everything back into more of a state of antiquity. And in that one, it's more fun to play as the Empire because they're like hardcore Roman. And all three factions have their own unique things about them instead of being just generic copies like they are in the vanilla game. So, in that one, I like playing as the Empire. But in the base game, Sturgia, Britannia, and Vlandia are my favorite factions to play as. And most of my playthroughs revolve around those three factions. So, thank you for the Euros, Dr. Zowden. Always appreciated. Especially coming from a channel member, an illustrious channel member such as yourself. What else? Alright, let me get over to my horsey. We started our Hans Capon mission where we go screw around in the bathhouse. That should be fun. Stoning Gamer says, Dr. Zhao in the house! And Neil says, get well soon, Karina. That is definitely something that we all wish for. Sai D says, I really like We Who Are About to Die. Just landed in early access. Looking forward to Stalker 2 and Starfield. But I reckon Bethesda could mess it up. Good to see you there. Thank you, Sai D. I agree with about Starfield. I think I'm excited for it just based on the fact that I've had a lot of fun with single-player Bethesda games. But I think there's a really good chance that Bethesda could screw it up. So it's not a game I would pre-order, let's put it that way. I'm going to wait and see. I'll probably play it at or around release. You know, whenever that ends up being. But I'm a little worried that they're going to totally screw it up. Or that, like, I'll play through it and it'll kind of be like Fallout 4. Like, there will be certain things that I really liked. And maybe I spent a lot of time playing it. but it still feels hollow at the end. That's my biggest worry about it. Because I'm sure that playing it will feel like a Bethesda game. I'm sure it'll feel like playing an Elder Scrolls or Fallout game. So it'll have that level of familiarity, which I will like. But it will have a degree of white breadness that I probably won't like. And that's my biggest worry with Starfield. Karina Smirnoff says, Dr. Zowden. Huck Finn says he might be in the tower. Yeah, that... I mean, he's not. He was just riding his horse up. But that was my thought, too. I was like, he could be up in the top of the tower. I don't want to go up there. Alright. Thanks, Neil. I have been Slytherin for years, says Crazy D Entertainment. Like I said, I'm not a huge Harry Potter fan. I've read the books, and I've seen the movies. The books are better than the movies, for whatever that's worth. But books are typically better than the movies, just because there's a lot more freedom for narrative paths. And so they're more creative, typically. But I'm not a huge fan. So this is the first time I ever did a thing where it sorted me into a house. I was hoping for Ravenclaw, because I'm such a genius. But, not Slytherin. Gryffindor is where it ended up putting me. I suppose it's because I'm such a hero and main character. Dr. Zowden says, Karina, make sure you're adding salt in there too. You gotta keep your electrolytes up. Electrolytes are what plants crave, so... Lexi said, I did the sorting thing as well, and I was putting Ravenclaw. See, that's the one I wanted. Crazy D Entertainment says, sweet, to the Ravenclaw comment. Redneck Zeus says, I've taken that Pottermore test a couple times. I've gotten Ravenclaw and Slytherin. That makes sense. From what I understand, the difference in sorting there is like, Slytherins are supposed to be really high ambition. It's not like any of them are supposed to be stupid. People are like, Hufflepuff, that's where the idiots go. Or Gryffindor, that's where the idiots go, you know. None of them are an intelligence test. I think Ravenclaw is supposed to be well known for being clever, which is different than being intelligent. Slytherin is supposed to be, like, the key thing is ambition. Gryffindor, the key thing is supposed to be courage. And I think for Hufflepuff, I don't know, maybe being cuddly. I have no idea what theirs is supposed to be. I think in the lore, all of them, like Slytherin, Ravenclaw, and Gryffindor had like a specific thing that they were looking for, and Hufflepuff was like, I don't fucking care, everyone else, you can come and join my house. I'm pretty sure that's how that went. So, you know, I think that's how it went. Like I said, I'm not an expert, but that's kind of the vibe that I got. Crazy D said, only ever got Slytherin. Well, clearly you're evil, Crazy D. Dr. Zevin says, yes, mod you PC Master Race Supreme. PS4 ain't good, got on mods. That's true. You gotta have PC for that modding, and modding is so much fun. Feeling hungry, gonna go grab something to eat and come back. Well, we'll see you when you get back, Neil. Lexi1397 says, see you when you get back. Everyone's just preempting me. Man, I've been playing GTA 5 roleplay lately. I've seen some of the roleplay servers for GTA 5, and they look pretty good.
I'm interested.
Good luck.
I haven't tried one, though. Lexi says, we have hit the food hour in the stream, lol. Yeah, we are an hour into the stream, so that is typically when the food chat starts happening. Crazy Dan Chairman says, I feel quite hungry. Dr. Zalvin says, when I did the sorting thing, I was sent to the National Socialist Party. You are put in... what was the one from Family Guy? Crap, I can't remember. There's a funny Family Guy scene where Peter, the sorting hat, gets put on Peter, and it sorts him into something not from Gryffindor. Something really funny. I can't remember what it is, but feel free to look it up on YouTube. It's pretty funny. Entertainment says Crucio. That's funny, Crazy D. Dr. Zowden says, seem a bit down, Nico. Down? I'm not. I'm a little congested. A little low energy. It's a Tuesday. Get a little low energy sometimes, but no, I'm in a good mood. I'm in a good place. You tell him he gonna die? No, I recently I started watching House of the Dragon, so I think I've seen the first 2 episodes, maybe the first 3. I was watching them with my wife the other day. So far, I'm liking it. There's certain things I don't like I can't stand, what's her name? Rhaenyra Targaryen, the main Targaryen girl. But I didn't like her in Fire and Blood. When I read that, I was like, ugh, I hate this chick. So, like, I'm not surprised that I don't like her in the show. Of course, I don't like most of the people in George R. R. Martin's books because he writes people to be assholes. But so far, I'm liking the show. I'm enjoying it. And I also recently started watching The Boys. and I'm all the way up through episode 1 of season 2. So I watched all season 1, and I just finished episode 1 of season 2 before I started the stream. I watched it just because I wanted to, and I'm liking The Boys so far. It's definitely not a show I would watch with my kids, and I think my wife would hate it. So it's just a show I'm gonna watch by myself. But hey, what do we got? The parish priest coming down here, going to the bathhouse, take a little bath, get clean. That's nice. Let's see if Hans Capon is ready for us in the least sexual way possible.
Lord Capon?
No, he's not ready for us. Come after dark. Okay. There's nothing I like doing than coming after dark.
Show yourself.
Alright, let's squat down. Squat! There we go. Let's wait until dark. Oop, I gotta sneeze again. Sneezing a lot today. But no. What else do we got? Lexi1397 says, hey, are you doing anything on Friday, Nico? Yes, but it's a secret. No, I'm just kidding. My wife's birthday is on Friday, so we'll be having some sort of a party for that. Probably going out to eat one of our favorite restaurants and having some friends over, doing some stuff, playing games, whatever, you know. Should be fun. I'm looking forward to it, at least. Hope my wife is, too. Stony Gamer says, I've been playing on Free Roam server with my buddy. Crazy D Entertainment says, Hot D, of course. Redneck Zoo says, Homelander is based. I do not like Homelander. I would agree that based might be an accurate description for him, but I would say, like, psychopathic sociopath, you know? Hard to label it anything else like that. Well, it was in by the end of season 1 with the, you know, the way that he was raised being kind of an explanation. That checks out. Probably should have launched him into space or something because.
Well, I'll rip everything off her then, eh?
Good God! You do that, such a fragile.
That was the crass response to that. But yeah, I mean, Homelander is definitely a well-written antagonist because there's actually like a feeling of dread every time he's on the screen because he could do anything. He's way too overpowered, and he might do anything because we've seen him do some terrible, terrible stuff. So, I know I saw this clip of him like talking down a jumper. Well, quote unquote, talking down a jumper. And I was like, yikes, that's like the first thing I ever saw from the show. And so I kind of expected some of the stuff. I just watched the one where he meets, like, it's the basically Daredevil. I can't remember what his name is in the show. Dead ears or something, whatever. He's like blind, and he does everything because he can hear really well. And I was like, whoa, that was brutal. So, but like you could feel it in the scene. I was like, oh, this is like, you couldn't predict it because there wasn't a tell. You know, at least not one that I noticed so far. But when it happened, I was like, yeah, I had a feeling something bad was going to happen here. And that was pretty brutal. Redneck Zoo says he gets better in the later seasons. I'm hoping so. Like I said, I just started season 2. Neil says, aha, I am back. Literally 8 at the speed of light. I don't know if it was literally at the speed of light because we'd all be dead by now. At the time that you were gone, if you were traveling at the speed of light, I think a really long time would have passed outside of your time dilation bubble. What do we have here? 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. That's a straight. Woohoo! Look at that. We win. We came to a new universe. It's exactly the same, except for they pronounce Parmesan differently. How do they pronounce it here? Parmesan. Oh, I hate it. I also started watching Rick and Morty recently. I've watched a lot of it. I'm in season 6 already. That show's been going fast for me. So I've actually been watching a lot more TV recently than I have for a long time. Basically, I've been just trying to structure my life so that I'm not working 24/7. Because I was burning out a little bit. And I think it's working. Alright, what do we got? We'll just keep the... We'll keep the 300 and go. Alrighty, what else do we got?
Your turn.
Dr. Zodin says, running around with a bailiff's mace, a straw hat, a monk's habit, and KCD is the best because no one attacks you until you go insane on them. Wait, what did you eat, Neil? Welcome back, Neil. Snikers! I got some fresh pelmeni Russian meat dumpling from my mom. Ooh, I was thinking I was gonna eat... Ah, what happened? I hit the wrong button. I was thinking I was gonna eat some pot stickers for lunch today. Because I've got some downstairs and I could go for that. So, if and when my magical house person that sometimes brings me food while I'm streaming wants to bring me any, I could go for some nice fried pot stickers. My only conditions are that they are all the way cooked and fried. Snickers, that's it.
Alright, why not?
If Marvel Toons existed in real life, they would be the boys, if superpowers were real. Well, yeah, if you... I'm just gonna get in with my armor on. If you had real life, quote-unquote, superheroes or whatever, they had superpowers, I agree. They'd be probably like people from the boys, because they're still humans. You would have very few people who could handle having superpowers without becoming bad.
This is a bathhouse, not a laundry.
Crazy the Entertainment says, I know, I was so excited. Neil says, yes, Lexi. Redneck Zoo says, well, the show is made by Seth Rogen, so of course the bad guy had to be a stand-in for Trump. I mean, is he? Is he a stand-in for Trump? I mean, maybe I just haven't gotten far enough to see that connection so far. If that's what he was going for, he missed it by a huge margin. Because Homelander is nothing like Trump. First of all...
Bored? I saved your life.
First of all, if you want to bring it down to even the most basic level, comparing the two on a evil scale is not even remotely comparable. But besides that, totally different charisma and everything. Like, even if you want to say the whole charm thing, you take someone like Trump, who, in my opinion, I mean, maybe you could call him charming. I don't know. He gets under my skin whenever he talks in public. It's the things he does without speaking about them that have been positive things. Every time he talks, though, I'm like, ugh, this guy, you know, which is the opposite of Homelander. In public, he knows exactly how to talk to the audience. He knows exactly how to do everything to positively impact his reputation, at least early on, you know. Like I said, I haven't seen the whole show, so I'm not talking about anything you might do later. My hair's all sticky-uppy. So like I said, if that's what they were going for, I mean, Seth Rogen is an idiot, so it's not surprising that he would totally screw it up. I did figure, without even paying attention to who did what in the show or whatever, I did figure Seth Rogen was running it because he keeps he's in the show, like doing interviews on TV, and so I assumed that was the meta way of being like, haha, get it? He runs the show.
Clara, bring some wine for the gents.
Lexi1397 says, ha 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 ha, magical house person. Magical house person. Oh, I get it. House person, pot stickers. Pot stickers. Dr. Zedden says, yes, yes, Nico ASMR. Redneck Zoo says, he is in Season 3. Like I said, I haven't gotten to Season 3 yet. Alright, I better check, because I wasn't listening to what he was saying. What am I supposed to be doing? Sir Hans was blah, blah, blah. Dice did that. I should have stripped first. Looking like a rusty old pail won't do much for my reputation. Okay, he didn't tell me what to do next. Alright, we demand Nico ASMR. I don't know if pot stickers will make that much ASMR, but it is what I want to eat today. I think Crazy D says, I think we made him uncomfortable last time. A little bit. Made me feel a little bit like,
You want me to go there and get it now?
like a prostitute. Bring back the pickles. Bring out the pickle, house person. No, I don't want any pickles. I want pot stickers. I said that already. I said I don't want any pickles. Lexi1397 says, your hair is getting long. Are you growing it out? Yes, I am growing it out. My wife wants to see what I look like with long hair. And I said, bad. But I'm still going to do it.
All right then, I'll bring it.
Just hair. Worst case scenario, it looks terrible, and we just cut it off. Dr. Zodin says, all the showrunners do bad stuff to kids, and all those Hollywood types will burn in hell. Probably true. Wouldn't argue that point. Because, yeah, probably. I know that every time some scandal comes to light about some coastal elites doing something terrible, typically, you know, pedo-related or something else like that, I'm like, yep, expected that, you know. It's just not shocking. You can hear it about anyone too, you know. Maybe you have an actor or something like that, or a songwriter, musician, something that you really like, and you think they're a good person, and then you hear a story like that. It shouldn't surprise you, you know. It's the same thing like Tim McGraw, you know, famous country singer, a lot more popular in the 90s and early 2000s, but people probably still know who he is now. What was I thinking? Oh, yeah. It wasn't that long ago that he was, like, he got in quote-unquote trouble with, like, some of his previous fans or whatever because he was donating tons of money or leading fundraising drives or something like that for this big gun-grabbing organization. And so he's this famous country music singer, singing country music, which I'm sure if you've heard American country music, you're familiar with the type of audience that it attracts. But he himself is this big anti-gun grabber type guy. And so stuff like that, it seems shocking at the face level until you realize their whole job is lying, you know. Modern musicians sing about things they've never experienced, you know. Actors, their job is literally lying. Their job is to convince you that they are someone that they are not, you know. So it shouldn't be surprising that they're hypocritical liars who do terrible things, because their day job is literally being a liar who, I mean, maybe doesn't do terrible things, but, you know, in real life they make up for that. Daring debonair? What the heck could I be in trouble for?
Surrender.
You're gonna regret this. I'm about to yell at you.
What do you think you should have...
Yeah, well, what about this?
You're making a serious mistake. If only you knew.
Definitely not a Estonian gamer says, yeah, he doesn't look like a 70-year-old man with orange-brown. I assume you mean orange skin.
I had no idea.
No, he doesn't look like that. Also, I think Trump might be, like, almost 80. I'm not sure, but he's older than 70. I think he was, like, 70-something when he ran in 2016, and that was, you know, a hot second ago. Just gonna try picking the door. Of course I've been seen. Of course. How could I not have been seen? This door is the most popular place in Rattay. My God, go away. There we go. Jeepers cats, that was freaking annoying. I always forget that there's that guy there. Alright. Crazy Entertainment says, pickle for the chat, pickle for the law around these parts. House pickle for pot stickers. That's confusing, Crazy D. Dr. Zodin says, Nico, you need to become a Twitch thought. I mean, I am a Twitch thought.
Back to trouble? Huh?
Why am I wanted? Ugh, I should open the door first. Here we go. Pick that guy up and take him downstairs. And they're going to regret giving me that little bag of coins icon because I'm probably going to break this guy's neck. So I can see if I can get rid of that. Alright, buddy. Yeah, look at that. I'm no longer wanted. I've fixed my wanted problem. And 5 keys? Nice. Alrighty. How the heck do I get the wine? I remember it being somewhere over here. Where the heck? What? What am I doing wrong? It's down here somewhere. Do I have a torch? This guy probably had a torch. He's such a goody two-shoes. Look at that, he does. There, now. What am I missing? Shouldn't I be able... Oh, wait, do I need to find a jug first? There it is. Look at that. Pitcher for wine. Now it should let me do it. Okay, it's just this end barrel. Thank you for remembering, Crazy D. It's Your Love is my favorite song duo. No way I could forget. I love If Tomorrow Never Comes. If tomorrow never comes. Dr. Zun says, Twitter has shown us all why we don't need our idols, because they are all complete idiots. That's fair. Definitely Not a Stoning Gamer says, no, he's 76. Oh, maybe he is only 76. Crazy D Entertainment says, that is a good one too. Bullet says, that's why people like Johnny Cash and Waylon Jennings were so good, because they sang about things they lived through. Exactly. It's the same reason why, love him or hate him, Toby Keith is always going to be one of my favorite country music singers, because before he became a country music singer, he did stuff. You know, he played semi-pro football, which is hilarious. I love that. Anyone who plays semi-pro sports is always going to be someone that I get along with. I just enjoy that that type of person. But he played semi-pro football and then became an oil rig man. Like he worked on oil drilling platforms before he ever sang any country music. You know, it makes it so much more authentic for him to do it. And then, after becoming a superstar, decided instead of going on tours and releasing albums or whatever, he was going to spend, like, the years that would have been his prime singing years and performing years, you know, popularity-wise, he spent the vast majority of them overseas performing for troops, for U.S. troops, you know? It's just, that type of behavior speaks a lot more than all of these... super rich metrosexuals flying around in their private jets, you know, singing about farming and trucks and dirt and whatever, you know. Just that type of stuff. Not nuts about it. I figured I would come up here and get the flowers before I went back, because I remember that being really annoying. Coming all the way to Rete, sneaking in and getting the wine, and then just getting back, and then he's like, by the way, can you go into the upper castle and get some flowers? Alright, well, apparently it's not going to let me complete that objective beforehand. I mean, I picked the other flowers up here, so maybe it'll just allow it then, but I wasn't able to pick the roses, which isn't what she wants, but that's the only time in the game where you can pick roses. Redneck Zeus says, I have the bow crosshair command memorized. I just got so used to playing it without the crosshair. I popped it on once just to try it, and I was like, oh yeah, it's like playing any other game. But I took it back off because I just preferred not to use it. Plus, if I wanted to, I could just... I've got a Asus gaming monitor, so I could just put the crosshair on there, and it's the same thing. So, if I wanted to, I could do that. Plus, then only I could see the crosshair, and you guys would all be amazed by my skill and dexterity. You'd be like, how's he doing that? It's so accurate. I'm just kidding. I'm not doing it. I have a torch. I feel like a narc. Here we go. Hans Capon. Definitely Not a Stoning Gamer says, Nico, do you like sour cream? I like it on or in food dishes that call for it.
Have you got it? Of course.
Dr. Zalden says, George Strait is based and keeps his mouth shut. Amarillo by Morning is my favorite song ever. Dr. Zalden, I love Amarillo by Morning, and George Strait is one of my favorite country singers of all time. First of all, he's ridiculously good, and he's got the most #1 songs, possibly of every musician ever. But he definitely has the most out of any country music singer. And yeah, he keeps his opinions to himself, and he's just got ridiculously good songs. So I agree about that. George Strait is really good. Dr. Zodin says, why am I wanted? Because you're knocking people out all over the place. That could be. Jonas Goldenzik says, the only country I really got into was Marty Robbins, Johnny Cash, and John Denver. I like all of them. John Denver's a bit of a hippie and a hypocrite. He sang about how bad, like, he was big, he protested all sorts of things that were bad for the environment and all sorts of stuff like that. One of them being flying too much, but he himself was a pilot. He did that. It came out later that he tried to get other people not to fly, especially to be pilots and everything, to try to keep aviation fuel cheaper because he used it so much. So, I like a lot of John Denver songs, but he as a person is a knucklehead that I'm not much of a fan of. But I agree, I do like Marty Robbins and I love Johnny Cash. Dr. Zouden says, when you get the bed in Rete, I love to read books there. I always get busted for not having a lantern in my own place. Right? They bust into your house and they're like, why don't you have a light on? Ben Smith says, if you make user.cfg and write the command there in the files, you don't have to memorize it. That's true. Lexi1397 says, there are only a few quote-unquote country songs that I like from nowadays. Most of my favorites are from the 1990s. I'm all about the 1890s. If I go with country music, it's all 1890s. Definitely Not a Stony Gamer says, tell me guys playing KCD, are you real men or are you some pussies who live life on easy mode? Crazy D Entertainment says, Neil McCoy, The Shake is my all-time favorite. Neil McCoy. Did he sing Billy's Got His Beer Goggles On? Is that Neil McCoy? Because I like that song.
I like all kinds. I like dandelions, sage, and poppies. I really like poppies.
Henry, did you hear that? What? The lady requests that...
Dr. Zouden says, my good sir, where can I find my status effects in Bannerlord? It should be under... If it's not in the character screen, then if you go into your guild screen, so next to your kingdom, the tab down there, and click on yourself, it should show it there. Otherwise, if you look up your own character in the notes section in the encyclopedia, it'll be in there. It should be a couple places. Okay, yeah, I like Billy's Got His Beer Goggles On. That's a solid song. Bullet315 says, I don't play KCD, so neither. You've never tried it? It's a fun game, Bullet. Lexi1397 says, Neil McCoy lives in Wisconsin, which is awesome. Yes, he lives up in Rhinelander. And so every year at Hodag, which is a country music festival in Rhinelander, Wisconsin, Neil McCoy's there. And because he lives there, he doesn't play like some big shot that won't talk to you or anything like that. I've talked to Neil McCoy. You know.
Yeah, what would a bouquet be without roses? There's some in the upper castle garden.
Yep, it's still going to make me go up there and pick roses. Lame. So yeah, if you ever want to see Neil McCoy in concert, pretty much every year he headlines Hodag in Rhinelander. And it's also, as far as music festivals go, I've kind of gotten sick of music festivals. I went to a lot of them when I was younger, but I'm kind of sick of them now because I don't like the crowds that they attract. But out of music festivals, specifically country ones, Hodag is actually not a bad one. It's smaller and so doesn't feel quite as trashy and overproduced. But it still usually attracts titles that are good enough to be like, oh, cool, I actually saw people that I know who they are. I went to a music festival once that was like an indie music festival, but I didn't know it was an indie music festival. And people asked me if I wanted to go, and I said, yeah, sure, whatever. They were buying the tickets, so I didn't know it was this big thing. Nobody I had ever heard of. And even people that I've never listened to, you know, I've heard of lots of musicians, and I've only listened to a fraction of them. The people at this festival, I had not heard of any of them. They were all random people who you'd think would be singing at open mic at the bar, you know. So, I didn't much care for that experience. But yeah, I like Hodag. It's a good time. If you get the chance, and it's another one that basically the cost of going to Hodag is mostly just traveling to Rhinelander, Wisconsin. Because the cost of the tickets is cheap, you know. And the cost of staying there, like, you could camp because there's tons of campsites around there. There's quite a few hotels, motels, stuff like that. None of it's very expensive. There's quite a few good places to eat around there. A lot of good fishing. So, yeah.
I'm not done with you.
No, I swear the gentleman hasn't touched me.
Crazy D Entertainment says, before work every shift, I play Footloose. I play Taking Care of Business. Footloose. That's funny that you play that before work. Like I said, Taking Care of Business was my before work song. And then, I don't know, after work. Let me think about it. Closing Time. Working for a Living by Garth Brooks. That's a good song. Want to see him live? Come to Hodag, buddy. Come to Hodag. We'll beat this guy up. Come on, arson balls. You'd think this guy would be out already. I've been walloping on him with heavy mailed gauntlets. Got a couple good, you know, hooks right on his jaw. This guy would be out. I ran out of stamina and he's still not out. Oh, dang. I thought he was surrendering. Kicked him in the nuts. Hey, watch your language, arson balls. Where'd he go? Dave Zill says, Neil McCoy is from my area of Texas. That's fun. I know that he wasn't from Wisconsin, but he either lives full-time in Rhinelander or just has a house that he spends a lot of time at. Because, like I said, if you drive through there on any given day, there's a good chance you're going to see him. And Rhinelander's not a big town. If you know Wisconsin, you know it's decently small. I'm not sure what to compare it to give you a frame of reference. Because best I could do is just another Wisconsin town. I've been to El Paso, but not El Paso, Texas. The El Paso that I've been to is in Illinois. Bullet says, 3 Wooden Crosses is probably my favorite Randy Travis song. That's probably his best song, just in general. Randy Travis is really good, though. Deeper Than the Holler is another one that I really, really like. This is the thing KCD gets wrong. Fistfights should not be this long. When you've landed that many punches, they should be like, okay, this guy wins. They shouldn't be like, no, we want to give the other guy a chance to get punches in. No, it shouldn't take that long. Bullet says another one of his favorite country singers is Alan Jackson. Agreed. Estonian Gamer says, man, climate change is stupid. No factory can make our climate warmer. If the Earth temp cycle, note, not that you think this thing is stupid, don't blame me, blame my family. Agreed. Lexi1397 says Alan Jackson is my all-time favorite. I definitely like Alan Jackson. He's got a stupid good voice and a lot of really good songs. Dr. Zowden says, Neil McCoy sings a song that is Take a Knee My Ass. It's all about the NFL and these other anti-American bastards taking a knee. Speaking of that, John Rich from Big and Rich has a song. It just came out recently, like in the last couple months, and it's kind of similar. It's like an anti-woke country song, and it's pretty good. Plus, if you want to follow someone on Twitter that's genuinely entertaining, John Rich. He's pretty entertaining on Twitter. Yeah. So I'll have to look up that Neil McCoy song. I've never heard of that. Alexi says Randy Travis, another one of her favorites. Sir Dave Zilla says, I'm back, folks. Stoning Gamer says, Nico, please, opinions on Anne Vesky and George Oates. Okay, so Anne Vesky, I listened to the song because just the songs that you put on Discord. So that's my total experience with both of them. The George guy was good. I liked it. It wasn't what I would be like, oh, this is the best thing I've ever heard, just because I've listened to so much music. But you could tell that he was talented, and maybe the songs would have meant something if I understood what the words were. But no, yeah, interesting enough. The Anne Vesky one, listening to it and watching the video, I was like, oh, super Eastern European. This is exactly what I picture coming out of like late 80s, early 90s Eastern Bloc. I was like, ooh, boy, hardcore. Especially the like jump cut special effects. Those were really, really good for it. But just the song in general, I could picture listening to it like on a radio that's barely coming in off of like a 500 watt station, and I'm driving like a Gremlin or something, or whatever, a Yugo, driving a Yugo. That's the type of music that I picture in that scene. What else is there? Bullet already talked about 3 Wooden Crosses, and I agree. Firing up my radar at work, I listen to Danger Zone. Right into the danger zone. That's who sings Danger Zone? Shit, can't remember his name. Ugh, can't remember it. Anyway, he doesn't live here anymore. Okay, so like I said, I think he lives in Redlander. Dr. Zowden says Digging Up Bones. Another good Randy Travis song. Stoning Gamer says, Nico, may I explain to you what hard bass said hard bus? Hard bus? Stony Gamer says, Nico agreed to my stupid thing about climate. Nico, man, I thought you were going to say I was stupid. No, the thing about it is if you actually, instead of looking at alarmists, you actually look into the scientific studies that most of the climate scientists are quoting, they don't actually prove the claims that they're trying to say. And even if you look at the most extreme ones, they're talking about the average temperature going up by a single degree in the next 100 years, and saying that will somehow have any sort of a crazy high impact on life is pretty ridiculous. There's no scientific study, or at least no secondary peer-reviewed scientific study, that supports that in any way. You know, the thing is, so even if we take it at face value and say, climate change is for sure, it's all man-made, and it's really, really bad, and we have to do something about it. The Western countries, like the United States being the primary one, have already been reducing emissions and all that sort of stuff for decades now. Kenny Loggins, that's who sings Danger Zone. Anyway, you know, the United States is already doing that, and we're going down every single year with carbon emissions and all that sort of stuff. The countries that don't are China and India, and they outproduce today more than the United States ever has, as far as carbon emissions and stuff. So even if we did absolutely everything we couldn't stop climate change if it were totally man-made. So being like, okay, I want to take all of my money and power and give it away to this faceless government bureaucracy and believe that they're going to do something about it, that's a hard pill to swallow. And that's why climate alarmists are never going to convince the vast majority of Americans to actually care about what they're trying to say. One of which being there's way too many scientists saying that they're wrong, and another one being the solution that they've proposed isn't a solution. You know, it doesn't actually fix the problem. It just gives more power and money to the government. You know, that's the problem with climate alarmism. I agree with Ben Shapiro on this one. Humans are much better at adapting than changing. So if climate change is actually happening, and if we're going to see this average temperature increase of 1 degree over the next 100 years, you know, which maybe we do, I don't think I'm going to live for another 100 years, to be honest. So if my kids see this, they'll adapt, you know. I mean, we live in Wisconsin. Every drop of ice in the world could melt, and it would not affect Wisconsin. Fun fact. We might get milder winters, in fact. My best advice for people worried about climate change is don't live in New Orleans or Tampa, you know. Maybe move inland 50 miles, 60 miles, something like that. Suddenly you won't be as panicky that you're going to get flooded out. That's my best advice. Stop building dikes and living below sea level. There's lots of unpopulated and underpopulated land in the world. The belief that the world's overcrowded is because people live in giant cities where they're packed in like sardines. You take a step outside of that and you're like, huh, kind of empty. You know? I think it was, I don't remember which college it was, but it was a really basic study that said all of the people in the world, every single person in the world could live in Texas and have 1,000 square feet to themselves. Every person. Man, woman, and child. Look at that, and then look at your belief that the world is overpopulated, and try to make that align. It's not even close, you know. So, Cam the Kahneman says we haven't had a proper winter in 10 years here in New England. It'll snow maybe 2 to 3 times a winter, and it's gone in 2 days. I think Buffalo, New York had an interesting winter so far this year. Unfortunately, quite a few people died in that wicked blizzard they had. But yeah, upstate New York usually gets a lot of snow. But I would get that. I feel like it's probably been milder in New England. I know here in Wisconsin our winters are all over the place all the time, so it's hard for me to say what's normal. Cam the Kahneman says, no snowpack makes summer droughts a real thing. Mr. S says, EPA took my job. That happens. Cy D says, a real desert island disc for me is Celtic Cross Hicksville. It'll be 20 years old now and is like a psy-trance folk country melody, and it is instrumental, no vocal, but way worth checking out. That sounds really weird, and I might look it up afterwards because of how freaking weird that sounds. If you're not already in the Discord server, you should join up, and you could share it in the music tab in there so I could give her a listen. Speaking of which, anybody who's not in the Discord server should check it out. Look what I got. Pot stickers. Dr. Zowden says, yes, these bastards who shriek about global warming are all buying beachfront property, yet we have to change. That's what I'm saying. Maybe you're panicking because you live on the ocean, you know? You probably won't panic nearly as much if you didn't. Plus, most of the people who are really loud about it fly around the world in private jets. The magical house person brought some pickles with my pot stickers. Not a normal side or garnish for pot stickers. So, you guys know that it's just for you. I'm going to do the thing. I'm ashamed, and it makes me feel dirty, so I'm going to have to take a shower immediately after the stream, but... I feel dirty. Redneck Zeus says, I consider myself an environmentalist, but the climate alarmism is incredibly dumb. Same. That's exactly... Conservationism, the act of protecting nature, is a conservative ideal. I own land, and I care about it being in good condition and being a good steward to it. More than people who live in the city do, you know? Your average conservative is an outdoorsman. They care more about nature than your average person living in downtown New York. You know, the hypocrisy of accusing the people who just want to live a simple life without having everything stolen by them by an autocratic government, saying they're the ones who are destroying the planet, is just incredibly hypocritical. Yeah. Saidi said, also a couple of big volcanoes let go and that'll cool some stuff down. True. That's the thing. Every time we're like, we as humans can control this, and then nature just, like a volcano erupts, or we have like a giant tsunami or a ridiculous hurricane or something like that, and it totally destroys like 50 years of everything we've tried to do. It makes it feel a little bit more pointless. You're like, okay, well, so how much control do we actually have? Maybe not as much as you guys think. You know. Alright. Bullet says, some places in Florida deserve to get flooded. That is true. Also, I wouldn't cry if California got flooded off the map. I'd feel sorry for Panther. But, you know, if it happened, I think I could live with that. Kind of like Sodom and Gomorrah, you know? Let them float out to sea. Dr. Zodin says, thank you all. Crazy the Entertainment says, as a Florida, I agree with the statements above. Florida man. I wasn't looking at the screen, so I'm not sure where the heck I am now. Okay. I'm still... Okay, I'm just going back out to the main road. Okay, I'm trying to make my way... Without looking, I'm trying to make my way over to Ujits. Stony Gamer says, I mean, the overpopulation thing is interesting. Asia is very overpopulated, but a place like Russia is extremely underpopulated. Fun fact, most of Russia is in Asia. But anyway, yeah, correct. China, India, ridiculously densely populated. Still, I wouldn't say overpopulated, because clearly... it works to some extent. You have a lot more poverty and starvation and stuff like that. But yes, exactly. You take a country like Russia, which is massive and super underpopulated. All you have to do if you're Russia and you want to get people to move to your country, A, open up some sort of a system of legal immigration and make it easy for people to get there. B, make it a place that people want to move to. Those are the changes you make, and suddenly you're not underpopulated anymore. You'll notice that the United States is not underpopulated. We've got about 330 million people. We are below birth replacement rate, which means in a generation or two, we're probably going to be suffering severe problems, not having anywhere near enough people in the workforce to support our economy. But we're propped up because of immigration. I'm not saying that's a good thing, it just is a thing. You know, if you have too much immigration, you risk losing what makes your country good. And what makes it... some place that people want to immigrate to, because you have too many outside influences trying to change it to their thing. Because ironically, humans just learn very slowly. They'll leave a place because of how terrible it was or how dangerous it was, and they'll move to the new place and they'll be like, this place isn't enough like the place I just left. The place that I had to leave because I was worried about dying, or I was living in poverty for generations, you know, my family was. So then they want to change the United States to be that. That doesn't make sense. But anyway, the only reason the United States might not suffer an all-around collapse in a generation or two because we're below the replacement birth rate is because of the vast, vast amounts of immigration that we have. So if Russia became a place that people wanted to move to, they would suddenly stop having it be so much of a problem as well. There's another pickle. Sorry that I didn't announce it. On the bright side, it wasn't nearly as crunchy, so you didn't miss very much. Definitely not a Stonian Gamer says, checking out Discord is not optional, points a gun. True. If you want to get the full DTG experience of being neglected by me, DTG, if you want to call me that, instead of my name, join the server. I don't actually neglect people on there. If people ask me something, oh look, a lot of dead bodies, that's fun. See you guys. If people ask me something on there or message me or whatever, share something, I typically respond pretty quickly. I just don't go on there and shitpost all day. So people will be like, this Discord server's dead. It's actually not. The response time is pretty quick. I'm usually pretty fast to respond to people if they're talking to me. I just, like I said, I don't shitpost all day on there. I don't have constant spam. I'm not that type of person. It's the same reason why if you follow me on Twitter, you're going to get like 1 tweet a month, tops. Every once in a while, like, I've been releasing a lot of Bannerlord videos recently, so Tailworlds has, like, tweeted out a couple of my videos, and I'll repost those, you know. I'm not a social media person. That's not my thing. I like doing YouTube, making YouTube videos and uploading all that. I don't like any of the other stuff. I hate it. It's painfully boring, and if I go on Twitter, all I do is see people complain. You know, everybody's just complaining all the time. Either complaining about how much they hate someone, or complaining about how terrible their life is. That's the vast majority of users on Twitter. And so, something like that, ugh, I just hate it. I can't stand wallowing in other people's self-pity. Ugh, I hate it. That's good stuff. Crazy Entertainment says the house person is awesome. People seem to be liking the pickle. Definitely not Stonian Gamer says California cringe. Lexi says, I would fly him to Wisconsin, LOL. I must have missed something. Renex Zeus says, I'm all for banning plastic straws, not because of some stupid turtle, but because straws are gay and plastic makes people gay. That is certainly something I've never heard before. I mean, it depends for me. So, like, when I go to a restaurant, it totally depends on what I'm drinking. So, like, I'm not a Starbucks person. If I have coffee, it's literally just coffee, and it usually is at a diner before I eat my breakfast, and it comes in a glass cup. And so, not something I use a straw for. If I'm getting, like, a soft drink or something like that, if it's a glass, like a glass made out of glass, not a plastic cup that they call a glass when they hand it to you, but then you're like, huh, this is not a glass because it is not glass. You know. If it's made out of glass, I'll just drink out of the cup like a normal person. The plastic ones worry me because I've seen the cleanliness or lack thereof of a lot of restaurants and how they quote-unquote wash their dishes. And so the plastic cups gross me out a little bit because it's much easier to hide poorly washed plastic dishes than glass dishes. And so I don't typically like sticking them in my mouth. What quest were we working on? We were doing Playing with the Devil, right? Yeah. We're still doing Next to Godliness? That's funny. I didn't finish that one. We'll have to finish that when we go back. Alright. 3 village wenches and Ujits want to use a magic ointment, risking their lives and immortal souls. The priest spoke to Gertrude, the herb woman, having brought a few Ujits women to Witchcraft. I'm to speak with her and find out what happened. Fun. That'll be fun to find. Echo says, India is a shithole country. Only every 12th citizen has access to a toilet. Yeah, like I said, overpopulation is seriously an issue in that regard. So they should spread out. That's what I'm saying. Leave India. It's the same thing I say to homeless people in Chicago or New York or LA. If you don't want to be homeless, I understand that a lot of people who stay homeless in the bigger cities is because they want to keep doing that lifestyle. They want to, whatever it may be. There's TV shows about how much money people make panhandling, and about the people who are like, yeah, I just get enough for drugs, and then I do some drugs, you know. There's all sorts of stuff like that. But if you're a homeless person who doesn't want to be homeless, stop living in New York, LA, Chicago, Dallas, I don't know, cities with big homeless populations. Move to a much smaller city. Because every time there's been a homeless person in any of the cities I've lived in, they're pretty much immediately not homeless anymore. Because there's enough resources for them to be taken care of, to get them back on their feet. And if they legitimately don't want to be homeless, they want a job, they want a place to live, there are resources in small-town America to help you with that. There aren't enough resources in giant metropolitan shithole America. problem with this quest is I have no idea where these people live. And there's no quest markers because I'm playing on hardcore. So this quest might be kind of hard to do. These are not big cities. I remember one of them living across the river, I think. We'll see what happens. Oh, wait. The Russian media burning in Estonia, I understand and hate at the same time. Lexi says, I love my drinks with straws. I said I would fly Panther to Wisconsin. Oh, so he doesn't die? Wow, bleeding heart. Just gonna let people out of California so they don't die when the water comes in. I bet you kiss prostitutes. Anyway. Can't find your Discord, DTG or Dare to Game. What's your handle? If you go to my YouTube channel, in the banner, I've got a bunch of links for all my social media pages and stuff. You can just click on the little Discord icon there, and it's a permanent invite. It should bring you right into the server. So, because I don't remember my handle. Someone else in the chat could probably help, but I don't remember it offhand. I don't know how the hell I'm going to find these women. Maybe if I'd have paid attention when Godwin was telling me about it and done it right then. Hey, look, someone's in the stocks. Oh, hell yeah, I'll give you something to drink. Sorry, don't have anything. Estonian Gamer says, they removed my favorite travel show from YouTube. The two tough ones went to Russia and they removed it when the war broke up. Crazy the Entertainment says, I like straws, just not metal ones. I kind of like the metal straw. I had one in a drink somewhere recently. I remember it not being that long ago and I was like, that ain't bad. I don't mind that. Only tough thing about them was their liver. Cam the Cannon says, I like this quest. Me too, but like I said, I'm going to have to find these women, and they're small characters that you only ever need to talk to for this quest. And so, you know, you're probably not familiar with who they are or where they live in this town. And because I'm playing in hardcore, there's no quest markers. So I'm going off a rough memory from well over a year ago when I did this quest last. And trying to remember where the heck these people are. And also just kind of looking at every woman and seeing if there's any that have a talk option. Ah, boy. Lexi says, I can't please everyone, lol, I need my straws. Ken the Cannon says, I don't think anyone wants to be homeless. Like I said, there are people who they'll do, like, they have those TV shows where people go around and they like the lifestyle. It's like a bohemian lifestyle where they... Now, I'm sure these people probably have enough resources that they're able to get out of, like, the worst weather conditions, which would be the ones that are deadly for those who are homeless. But, like, for all of the people in the United States that claim to be homeless or people would identify as homeless, I don't know what the number is of ones who are actually desperate to not be homeless and to just live a normal life, where they work a full-time job, pay all their own bills, and, you know, etc. I don't know what that number is. I have no idea. But what I'm saying is, people who do want that, they want to not be homeless. They want to have a house, they want to pay their own bills, they want to have a full-time job. You need to move out of the big city. You're not going to get out of it in the big city. All you're going to do is keep getting a crutch that keeps you being homeless forever. If you want to get out of that, you need to move somewhere where they've got, you know, obviously you don't want to move somewhere so small that you can't possibly be helped, but there are tens of thousands of towns in the United States where there are jobs falling out the ass, there's plenty of community resources that's being totally unused, you know, the help exists, you just can't expect, you know, and especially it's all compounded by the fact... Let me tackle this guy. Let's give this guy his thing back. Hey, buddy. Did you want your thing?
You showed him.
Damn right I did.
I did. Thanks.
There you go, pal. We'll let that guy wake up with nothing. Anyway, compounding the issue, you have the fact that the cost of living is ridiculously high in these places with high homelessness. So to try and, like, through government aid, taxpayer subsidized stuff to try and keep them unhomeless, it actually costs the United States a ton of money because the cost of living is so ridiculously high there. All that you would actually need to do to reduce that problem is be like, okay, you sign up for this program, we're going to help you out with housing, we're going to do all this sort of stuff. It's not going to be here in New York. We can get you a place to stay in Rhineland or Wisconsin, whatever, something like that, where the cost of living is way lower. There are jobs available. There are resources available in the community. There's a lot less easy access to drugs. Plus, removing people from their drug dealers is one of the best ways to get them to get off of drugs. So if that is part of the problem, bing, bang, boom. I know people don't like being transplanted across the country, but I can't imagine a worse torture than having to live in New York. So I would see that as a blessing. Right next to says, van life is just glorified homelessness. Yeah. I mean, I feel like most van lifers have quite a bit of money. Like the ones that are popular and well known, they're actually not poor. So they're doing it kind of like it's fun camping or something like that. So it's a little bit different, but I get what you're saying. You are technically homeless because living in a car is something that a lot of people that I know have done. Whether they're going through divorce or they're poor and they lost their apartment or whatever the case may be. Living in a car is not fun. Not a fun thing that people want to do. Ben Smith says, a lot of homeless people are junkies and mentally ill, just saying. That's true. A lot of homeless people are. That's simply true. A lot of them are homeless because they're junkies. A lot of them became junkies after becoming homeless, and a lot are mentally ill people who are no longer housed in insane asylums, and so therefore spend their time on the streets being crazy, And I'm not trying to say crazy is what all mentally ill people are, but it's certainly a percentage. Dr. Zowden says, your damn mask is just as bad as cigarette butts. I'm not wearing a mask. And I don't smoke. Well, I don't smoke cigarettes. As we have discussed on the channel, I have smoked cigars on occasion, and still, I like them. I just, it's not addictive, so it's not something that I have to do all the time. But I like them. And I smoke a pipe on occasion. So, do a little bit of that, but I don't smoke cigarettes. Don't care for them. I'm gonna go... Oh, you know what? I've been doing this wrong the whole time. I was supposed to go talk to the witch in the woods first. I'm remembering the path of this quest now. If I had just opened the map. At least I think I'm going the right way. What if we took Los Angeles and pushed it somewhere else? That idea is just crazy enough to get us all killed! I get that reference. I like the taste of iron in my mouth while drinking. Me too. It should be... Her house should be somewhere over here. Is this it? Did I find it? Or am I about to get ambushed by humans? That was a cool looking thing. See this little overpass looking thing? Little pond. That's nice. Looks a little stagnant. I am having trouble finding this lady's house. I wish they wouldn't have removed the player marker on the map. I understand not wanting objective markers and stuff, but like, being able to tell where you are would be helpful. I should have just followed the damn road. I should go back out. I have to go back out and follow the road. Look, a big stag. Because I think I probably rode in too far. Got a little campfire there. Alright, we got out. This is the top road leading out of town. So let's see. Alright, there's town. I think I'm on this road. Let's see if I can find a little fork that goes up. What have we got here? Okay, so there's a little shrine-looking thingy. Well, where else could I be than this road? I mean, I could be on that road. Well, we'll see. Dang, I couldn't because going down here or going down here might be the same thing. That's about the same distance. So I could be on this one. Well, does that one have a road that goes up? No, so I must be on this one. Okay, I'm on this top road, so I just gotta go down the road and then take the left curve. Alrighty, I've been missing a lot of chats. Bullet says, Bohemian Rhapsody. Crazy the Entertainment says, there are most certainly people who like the lifestyle for sure. Lexi reminding people not to forget to like the stream. Sidey says, all sorted, posted, link in your general chat. I love introducing folk to music and books. Thank you. I look forward to checking it out. Crazy D said he was the first to like the stream. Definitely not a Estonian gamer says, introduce the great relocation. New York City used to be so much better when the mob ran the place. That's one opinion, Redneck Zeus. I'm sure there are some people wearing concrete galoshes that would beg to differ. Crazy Dan Entertainment says he feels quite hungry. Definitely not a Estonian gamer said, I imagine a bunch of homeless guys being forced into trucks by armed U.S. soldiers. Yeah, when you say it like that, I mean, to be fair, I think that's what Mayor Giuliani did in New York. Was he actually, like, used the police force to round up homeless people and shipped them out across America instead of letting them stay there. So, I do think that actually did happen. Cam the Cannaman says, yes, I wanted to say something about the witch in the woods, but I didn't. Thank you, Cam, you're very useful. Eggs, toast, and bacon. Ah, yes, toast. Like the stream, please. What debuffs did you choose? I'll have to check. I think we should send all the homeless people to Australia. Me too. People have never thought about that, but Australia would be a really good place to send all the people, you know, all the prisoners and stuff. It's crazy that nobody's ever thought about that before. Cam the Cannaman says they should round up all the homeless and put them in the middle of Kansas or Wyoming or something. Have them create their own town of misfits. Imagine how Kansas would feel if we took all of the United States homeless people and put them in Kansas. Alright, let's see if my navigation pays off. Oh, I found a shrine. Maybe that'll show up on the map. Okay, so I'm definitely on the top road, so yeah. Now, if I can just stick to the road without getting lost. Those guys are getting mugged. They're muggers. This is some road. Alright, this should be the curve. It's so easy to lose the path in this game, because the paths are so poorly worn. Hey, look at that, I made my way. Making my way downtown to the witch, talking about witch, I don't know. Omelet made with butter, a town of homeless people. Well, if they made a town, they wouldn't be homeless, would they? Zeus says, please don't send them to Kansas, we already have enough illegal immigrants.
Jesus Christ, your clothes. Were you assaulted? Damn bandits, may they burn in hell.
That was weird. Henry's voice sounded really strange there.
Come from the priest.
Anyway, Wisconsin is a weird place when it comes to immigration because we've got a lot of Mexicans immigrating into Wisconsin, but like,
Don't you know that witches get burned alive?
I don't know. I don't know if they're illegal or legal immigrants. It's hard to say, but I would assume legal just because usually what they do, the first thing when they, like, so my town here that I live by recently got a pretty big wave of Mexicans moving in. And they just bought all the businesses in town, like a couple of the restaurants and I think a couple of the hotels and stuff like that. And they're just kind of running a lot of the businesses in town now. So you'd think that to do that, you'd need all sorts of government documents and stuff. So I'm just assuming that the vast majority of them are legal. But, like, why would any person who lives in Mexico want to move to Wisconsin? I feel like the shock in temperature would be enough to kill a person. You know? I don't know. There's one family who, their kids go to school with my kids at the Catholic school here in town. And they own the Mexican restaurant. It's a really good Mexican restaurant. I really like it. And every day I'm dropping off the kids, and I'll see them pull up, and they're dropping off their kids, and they're wearing like these huge parkas. Oop! Lost a little bit of my food there. And I'm always thinking about asking them, like, how do you like the weather?
Witches
You know?
anointing themselves and then flying to their sabbaths on broomsticks.
The ointment could make a person see such things.
Nico, who are we? Muggers.
Stupid of me.
And what do we do?
Wish women get their
We
hands
mug people.
poison themselves.
Haha, didn't see Zeus's chat. Dr. Zodin says, hell with you, leave those good red states alone. Keep your trash ass homeless in your own shitty blue states. You voted for it, you live with it. That's certainly
Give me the ointment.
one way to take that.
It contains belladonna and the herb Paris.
I don't know. I think the truly merciful thing to do for homeless people
That ought to make you
that are looking for a way out is to try and help with that. But it needs to be in a way that doesn't keep them in it. You know, throwing money at that problem clearly doesn't work. You need to have, like, full-blown rehabilitation programs that move people out of the... Like I said, they need to leave the big city that made them homeless.
I don't know if it's the
Obviously get clean if they've got drug problems or alcoholism or any sort of stuff like that, and work a full-time job. Those need to be steps that get into it. It can't just be, oh, you know what we need to do? Tons and tons of government programs where we throw as much money at them as quickly as possible.
Anointing
That clearly doesn't work,
flying to their sabbaths on
because we've been putting tons and tons of money on that.
make a person see such things. But it was stupid of me letting those foolish women get their hands on it.
So let's go mug 'em! I'm glad that,
Cliff, well,
definitely not a stunning gamer. I'm glad that you're a fan of Viva La Dirt League, because I find them absolutely hilarious.
So why did you give them the ointment at all?
because
Send them to Australia. They'll learn real quick not to be homeless in Australia. Plus, the Aussie government just built a bunch of bungalows that aren't getting much use that they could stay in.
Enchiladas
I mean, you wouldn't want to be homeless in Australia. There's way too much there that would kill you.
with the horror of it all.
Saidi said, I'm in the northern UK, Yorkshire. Southern
With the dead.
Britain has issues with people's coming across the English Channel. We do have a navy, but using that would make Europe upset with us, I think.
But I reckon
Probably. I know that
it's all a mistake.
my mother, she married a Brit who up until quite recently lived in England, and
They offered me a
he said they had big problems with, like, violent criminals immigrating to where they lived. They lived in a relatively small town a ways outside of London, and
Think of their coin.
he said that they had never had problems for a long, long time, and then suddenly a whole bunch of criminals immigrated in, and it became a whole different world. So I know that the UK also has that problem.
Firstly, those women don't know what they're doing.
Or it gets the hose again.
And secondly,
I'm from the government and I'm here to help. Yeah, I don't like those words. Those are things that I wake up in a cold sweat, you know. Bullet 315 says there was some politician years ago that said we should
so don't be surprised. I'm worried.
the homeless all shotguns. I assume you mean give the homeless all shotguns? That seems like a weird program.
Each one
Definitely not a
lost
stunning gamer says we need to force homeless people into trucks and take them into the woods and then make them dig their own graves then shoot them. I wouldn't go that far. Like I said, I typically believe in the merciful approach to people struggling, you know. I think that there are definitely programs that make sense that we should do, but the goal should be helping them not be homeless, not helping them continue to be homeless. I obviously don't agree with anything hostile towards them just as a rule, you know.
Very well.
But
Only because the priest himself.
you know, in principle, I think that the goal should be to reduce the amount of homeless, not by getting rid of them or killing them, but by making them no longer homeless.
those women. Goodbye.
Cam the Candyman says, just build a couple communist-style apartment buildings in the middle of nowhere that can house a few thousand people. The problem with that is we've had housing developments in the big cities and everything specifically for homeless people. They always just turn into big hood crack dens and then get, you know, condemned after 5 to 10 years and have to be destroyed. That system does not work. The only way to possibly do it is on a more individual scale, like I said, where you are separating them from the destructive environment of the giant metropolitan city and helping them build a constructive lifestyle. A lot of homeless people who aren't drug addicts or aren't mentally ill are people who grew up never being taught how to function in society or the responsibilities that adults have, and then they become homeless as a matter of consequence. You know, their parents die, and then suddenly nobody's paying the bills, and they don't know how to do it, and now they're just living on the streets because it's easy, you know? There's enough handouts and enough stuff that makes it not hard to survive on the streets in the United States. You know, there's a significant amount of the population that falls under that category. So, like I said, the approach, especially with young homeless people, should start with education. Well, relocation and education. Lexi1397 says, it's sad seeing that there are so many people in need, but others ruin it for them. Well, like I said, it's not... I wouldn't say some people ruin it for the many. I'd say the system is flawed. The aid system, it's not bad because people can abuse it. It's bad because it promotes abuse. The system of, like I said, just throwing money at homeless people and hoping that they then use that money to better their lives instead of just staying homeless and keeping the money. It's a fundamentally bad system that doesn't work. There's not nearly enough control there to make sure that the people aren't just being like, oh, this is easy money. You know? It's the same reason why you don't feed animals. If you're constantly feeding bears at the park, the bears are going to come there looking for food, and it leads to problems. They become, for one thing, you have animals, certain breeds will become violent, especially if the food then isn't there, because they've gotten used to that handout. But then you have other animals that just become too easily dependent, and they can't take care of themselves then. Humans follow that pattern in a very, very similar way. You know, that's why throughout all of history, whenever you had systems of public assistance that just give, and never expect you to do anything to no longer need it, you know, like a time limit or something like that, you've always had giant, I don't know, parasitical groups of humans living there. You know, just coming back for the handout every day, day after day, for their entire life.
I've heard something about a man.
Not a good system, in my opinion.
I'd like to know where from.
Led, not lead. Estonian Gamer. Got a lot of all caps writing there.
Priest is worried.
Bullet says, I think we should make a coliseum for the homeless. Trial by combat. Whoever wins gets a house.
It's none of your business.
That would certainly help distract the United States populace from the decline of our empire. You know, that would be the circus part of our bread and circus. We're already providing the bread.
All we do is anoint ourselves at night in the woods. That's no great witchcraft. And you keep your nose out of things that don't concern you.
Oh, she seems really upset. Let me Salada, let me pickpocket you.
Keep your paws. Lost something here.
You asked for that, Zlata. Wow, it took a really long time to knock her out. Take that, Zlata. It's for yelling at me. Definitely not a Estonian Gamer says, I think you should hire me as your housing/homeless program leader. I'll take the Soviet approach. I don't like the Soviet approach. I don't like it. Next one is going to be in the first farm. Which one is the first farm? That's the question. Well, was it directly below where we just... No, it's at least one over, so... We'll check this one. This one might be the first farm. On the bright side, once you get close enough to them, their little quest notifier icon thing pops up in your compass. I was about to say mini-map. Lexi says, Nico, what the hell? What? What did I...
I heard something.
Did I say something bad?
magic ointment.
You heard that,
Oh, was it about knocking her out?
The herb woman.
Gertrude?
That's not the point. The ointment's dangerous, and the herb woman doesn't want you getting up to anything foolish.
Thanks for the concern. But we're grown women. We're old enough to make our own choices. And what we do in the woods at night is no one's business but ours.
The funny thing about this mission is, if you actually talk to these women, the answers that they give are so frickin' annoying. Like that one. The advice was given by the woman who made the ointment. And the advice was, this stuff's dangerous, it can have serious health consequences, and getting caught screwing around with it, putting it on, and then dancing in the woods looks a lot like witchcraft, so you might get in trouble. Possibly even burnt at the stake. And you tell the women this, and they're like, we can do what we want. We're going to go into the woods, and we're going to do it again. And you're like, I don't have that much sympathy for you. You know? crunch. Yeah, that last pot sticker was very crunchy. So this one is right across the river. It's in this farm. See, I thought there was one at this farm across the river. I was just a step too fast.
What? Jesus!
Not her, though. Oh, yeah, Lexi. No, I didn't kill her. I just knocked her out and took her stuff. Kuta.
I've heard something about a magical ointment.
What? Who told you that? Was someone asking around?
It might interest the priest.
The priest? Who's been telling him stories? Does he know about us?
What I've heard already amounts to a burning offense.
Wait. Really?
If someone buys witching, what am I supposed to think they
Red Zeus, if I was king of America,
and witches?
not queen,
We're doing
not duke, but king.
to the woods alone.
Bullet 315 says, I would vote for you, Zeus.
No one. I won't say anymore.
I'm the king! I didn't vote for him! You don't vote for a king! Then how were you chosen? The Lady of the Lake bestowed me with a sword. Oh, well, we don't live in a monarchy where our system of government is chosen by women giving swords to people. Yeah. You reminded me of that, Bullet. Lexi says, Crazy D is still tuning into the ASMR. That was a good crunch. Stupid people go dance in the woods, lol. Alright, what does it tell me to do now? Quest log. Probably don't need that one still on, huh? Playing with the devil. The women go somewhere into the woods at night. I'll follow them and find out what they're doing. Ooh, spoopy. Well, I'm gonna not wait here. Because I think I did that once, and I'm like, oh, I can follow her right from her house, and then I lost track of her and ended up not knowing where the hell to go. So, we're gonna go up to the road. Women, some wet, bint, IRC, but nice python. You like that? That lady's just coming down from the tower. Is this the maid road out of town? Okay. We'll sit right here, right off the road, and we'll wait until night. Hopefully the women will come a-wassailing. They'll go, here we go, a-wassailing among the leaves so green. Alright. Let's wait until dark. Something, something, something. Dark side. Something, something, something. Complete. Lexi1397 says, I'm currently reading The Lady of the Lake. Quite nice. Of course, I'm probably wanted for... Ooh, boy, they already got past me. I'm probably wanted for not having a torch. The audacity. I gotta follow these ladies. Seventh book in the Witcher series. I know what it is. I've read the Witcher series. Is that the last one? Like, I was about to say canonically, but chronologically, for the way that you're supposed to read them, like the events take place. Look at that. I found the women. There's one more? Okay. I knew that one was near the end. How you liking the whole Ciri being forced to breed storyline? If you've gotten there so far. I don't know where you are. Maybe I shouldn't say anything, because I don't remember the exact events in order from the books. I remember the story, but I can't say which one goes to which book. Sorry? Maybe you haven't gotten there yet. I'm gonna follow these ladies and see what they get up to. If it's witchcraft, I'll burn them at the stake. I ain't got no time for no witches. I'm gonna pick some Valerian, though. That's good stuff. The crunch. I'm glad the pot stickers were crispy enough to supply the crunch. I'm sure the magical house person was like, I know what to do. I'll fry the pot stickers extra crunchy so that way there's still ASMR. Which is fine. They're better, a little bit crunchy. These ladies sure is walking slow. Well, today we got onto a political discussion, mostly just about homelessness. Well, we talked about climate change too. Look at that. We're playing all the classics. What's he playing? Tom Petty. Ooh, which one is it? It's already turned off. What is it now? The B-52s. Rock Lobster? Love Shack. Ah, they're playing all the hits! Oh, I see some fog up ahead. How much do you want to bet that's where they do their witchcraft? Karina Smirnov says, all of our chatters are going to eat now. Why? Just because I was crunching on some pot stickers? That's no good reason to abandon me in my time of need. In my hour of need, at the year of our Lord 2023, at 12:44 p.m., after 2 hours, 25 minutes, and 8 seconds of live streaming, they will abandon me? The lack of faith is disturbing. Yes. Well, I've officially followed the women into the woods. I like how they're like, it's not witchcraft. Now let us go to our fire in the middle of the woods, where we gather in the fog and rub ointment all over our naked bodies. What? How did I fail?
I hear someone coming.
Well, now I'm upset.
Who's there? Is it you, Kuta? No, I'm still over here.
What's going on here?
Welcome, Prince of Darkness. And make yourself at home.
Side D says 1845 here. Bullet says he ate before the stream, so he'll stay. There we go. Bullet's a real Chad. Crazy D Entertainment said, I ate a wonderful egg and cheese omelet. Sounds good. Definitely not a Stoning Gamer says Nico Angie. I'm not Angie. I'm a little upset that it says I failed the objective and pulled me in. I didn't want to do that. I wanted to watch from a distance.
What in God's name are you
They're calling me the Prince of Darkness. These ladies should be burnt at the stake.
testing? Jesus Christ, what have you been smearing on yourselves?
A magic ointment from the herb woman. We are ready to pleasure you, Lord. In return, all we ask is that you rid us of the humans. And if you won't rid us of them, then help us get away from here. Give us riches.
We will edge on through the stream. Don't tell me about your edging. Leave me out of that.
I won't be fulfilling any of your wishes.
Oh. What must we do to please you, O Lord?
In return, you'll have to... Shit. I feel very weird.
I feel very weird. I did not want to get pulled into this. Kink talk? No kink talk. Lexi1397 says, every time you stream, I put my Bluetooth headphones on and eat while watching. You need to lurk better.
Will happen to you. It's all part of the ceremony.
Clearly, I'm bad at lurking.
What the fuck did you do to me? Damn it, I'm hungry.
Come on, pot sticker. This is a long loading screen. Wonder what's going to happen. I got my headphones on. I enjoy chatting most of the time. How is that ointment getting through your armor? Apparently my armor is good against arrows, axes, swords, but not magical witchcraft ointment. Maybe they rubbed it on my face, or reached up underneath my, hose. No, that sounds suggestive. Pants. Some strong stuff. Maybe it's just like inhalant, like Vicks. It's the Witchcraft equivalent of Vicks Vapo Rub. Just breathing it in opens up your sinuses and allows you to hallucinate. Could be what it is. Mythos Irving says, I see you're playing Hungry Hungry Henry. Kidding aside, KCD is one of my favorite games. Hello, Mythos Irving. Just wait. I was going to continue talking with my mouth full, but that's incredibly rude. Welcome to the stream. Yes, I am playing Hungry Hungry Henry. Thing about it is, when I stream, I make it an hour, maybe two into it without getting ridiculously hungry, and then I usually have to stop the stream because I just can't take it anymore and I have to go eat something. So, in this stream and in my last stream, my magical housing person has brought me some food midstream, and they've turned into somewhat ASMR streams because the food I eat is crunchy. Yes, Hungry Hungry Henry. For some reason, I'm in an eternal loading screen, so I don't know what's going on. I love it when the game decides when the stream ends, you know? When the game is like, nope, I'm not going to work anymore. And then I'm like, seems like a natural stopping point. I'm going to give it a little bit longer, but if it doesn't stop loading, we're just going to... I don't know, maybe I should exit out of the game and then reload the save, because then maybe I could lurk from a distance and not accidentally get sucked into the quest. Mythos Irving says, I love infinite load screens. Me too. On my top 10 features that a game needs to have, infinite loading screens is one of them. Alright, let's close the game. Boom! Hard crash. You guys should still be able to see me though, or at least hear me. Then once it's done uploading the cloud save, we'll relaunch it. We getting there? Well, we'll see what happens. Hey, look at that. Deep liver. Good, you guys could see me and hear me. That means that what I did wasn't embarrassing at all. This is taking forever. Normally the gate would be up by now. Charles IV Bohemia had a long and successful reign. Alright, we'll continue. It'll bring us right back into the infinite loading screen. Saidi said, what spec is your gaming rig? Tempted by any new kit? Oh no! This cannot have been the last time I saved. I'm not doing that. I'm not going back through all that nonsense. Ain't happening. I'm gonna punch a chicken. Suck on that, chicken. This is the best chicken killing system any video game has ever implemented. What happened? We went into an infinite loading screen, and so I crashed out of the game and reloaded, but I didn't realize that there had not been any autosave function or anything since I was back here at the bathhouse before that whole mission. So, ain't no friggin' way I'm gonna go through and do it all again. Well, I mean, I probably will, but I'm not gonna do it on stream. That would be real annoying. What we're gonna do is take these chickens that we killed, and we're going and feathered, plucked or whatever, and we're gonna cook them. 2 chickens. Let's cook them all, baby. Anyway, as far as what PC I've got, I'm rocking a GeForce RTX 3080 Ti, I think, i9 9900K. I've got, I think, 32 gigabytes of 4000 megahertz RAM. I have 4 terabytes of storage. 2 terabytes of it is a M.2 SSD. And then I have... No, 1 terabyte of it is the M.2 SSD. No, it is 2. 2 in there, and then I have 2 SATA 3 SSDs that are each 1 terabyte apiece. So I have all internal SSD storage. I cool it with the Be Quiet. I think it's the Dark Rock Pro 3 air cooler, so it's the best air cooler on the market. So it's actually got superior cooling specs to most all-in-one liquid coolers. It's a pretty good PC. I'm not tempted to upgrade because I've yet to find a game other than, you know, the Witcher 3 next-gen update with the ray tracing ultra and everything that even makes this one work. So I'm sure what'll happen is if the 4000 series cards go on a crazy sale, I might upgrade. Otherwise, I'm probably going to stick with this exact build for another generation or two before of like of CPUs and GPUs. And then what I'll probably do is just sell this one and build an entirely new rig. Because the problem is I've got it future-proofed enough that I could keep like swapping out the GPU every once in a while and getting improvements, but until I want to get a new motherboard and a new CPU, I'm not going to actually be able to kind of fundamentally change the way it operates. So like I said, I'm probably going to wait until maybe the 15th Intel CPU generation, which should be in a couple years or whatever, and then I'll probably build an all-new rig then, make it as top tier as possible. For now, I mean, either that or if suddenly games start coming out that just need way bigger, you know, way beefier systems than what I've currently got, then maybe I'll upgrade, but... Mythos Irving says, "Guard, there's a psychopath on the loose. Yeah, he's punching all of our chickens." Crazy D Entertainment says, "Fable Chicken Chaser." Back in the old Fable days. That's another game that if the new Fable game comes out, that'll be something I'll play on the channel. Because I played the old ones, and I grew out of them because they were a bit too cartoony for me. But this new one, I think they're going to go less cartoony. And if they do that, it'll be a really fun game. Because the Fable games were really good. It's just the art style of them was a little off-putting for me. Fable, I mean, it might have taken less time if you would have remembered to look at your map. That's true. Mythos Irving says, "I love how poaching makes you rich in this game. Just cook the meat, no longer stolen and worth more." True. Ben Smith says, "If you want to get rich, brew save your schnapps." That is also true. The best way to get rich in this game is definitely just by stealing shit. Because you can, every 3 days, go rob Rate and make like 60 to 100,000 groschen with no effort at all. Or if you want to do it the more legit legal way, just keep going back and forth between Previslavitz and Ujits and murdering everyone, coming back to Ujits, storing it all in your chest, saving, waiting 3 days or 5 days or whatever, and then going back and doing it all again. You can make ridiculous amounts of money that way. He forgets we should remind him. Yeah, you guys should have reminded me to save. You guys know how bad I am at that. I always forget. I'm so upset. At least crypto has crashed, so miners aren't taking all the cards. That's the biggest reason people were like, "Oh, graphics cards are suddenly cheap again. They must have, like, released a lot more cards." I was like, no, crypto has become much less popular and profitable for the most part, so these miners can't afford to just keep buying every single graphics card that pops out. There was, right when the PS5 and the new Xbox dropped, there were tons of crypto miners that were buying those consoles just to take the graphics cards and use them to mine crypto. So, like, at one point, it was very profitable to buy the entire market clean of GPUs. That's not the case anymore, so suddenly GPUs are dropping in price, especially on the used market, but I never recommend to anyone buying a used GPU unless you know, like, you personally know the person who used it, and you know what they used it for. Because even heavy gaming for years doesn't destroy a GPU like a very short period of crypto mining does. So, yeah, that's the main reason why they're getting affordable again. Will your case even fit a 40 series card? Yeah, I have a Cooler Master Masterbox Pro. So, like, even with my 30 series card, which is huge, the card's maybe that wide, and the case is at least that wide. It's not a narrow case. So, yes, I could fit a 40 series card in here in any direction, and lengthwise, I've got, I don't know, 4 to 6 inches of space between it and the front fans. So I've got enough room for a 40 series card. I just don't think I'm going to go that far. Like I said, the specs of it are considerably higher, but there's no game that calls for that. If I personally could use anything in an upgrade, it would be more RAM and a beefier CPU, because I render videos so much that if I'm rendering, even on this, which is a pretty big, powerful PC, if I'm rendering an HD video, especially if it's longer than 10 minutes, I can't do anything else on my computer. Like, if I browse, even on Chrome or something like that, it uses enough RAM to make my whole computer start stuttering and slow way down. So, if I was going to do any huge improvement, I don't need a bigger GPU, I need a bigger CPU. And like I said, I could probably use more RAM too. But like I said, that'll be my next build. If and when I get around to doing my next build, it'll probably have whatever the best GPU at the time is, just because obviously gaming is still my main focus. But I'll be very heavily focused on getting the most powerful CPU and the best RAM that I can, as well as just even bigger SSDs, because I love the SSD storage I have, but 4 terabytes, even though it's enough, I could use more. Side says, yep, sounds good for a few years, that setup. My Frankenbox does me at the moment. R5 3600 and a vanilla 1080 does okay at 1080p. Yeah, as long as it fits what you need, that's as far as you have to go. The good thing about PC gaming is not needing to upgrade. You know, once the new generation comes out, you have to get it. That's not how PC gaming works. You need to make sure your PC can play the games you want to play. If you never play anything more than Minecraft or whatever, you don't need nearly as beefy of a system. But if you're constantly playing really hardcore games, or maybe you like playing competitive first-person shooters on a really high graphical setting or something like that, then yeah, you're going to need the most powerful system you can get. Mythos Irving says, when I play a good Henry, I allow poaching, but yes, as evil Henry, I steal, also kill sleeping people. I love this game. Yeah, my bad guy Henry murders and steals everything. Like, I've definitely done that. What is even role-playing? Light223 says, how many 30 series cards will end up in a landfill 10 years from now because of miners refusing to sell? Yeah, but that's probably what'll happen, is at the end, they will refuse to dump them at any price, and they keep... Well, it's the same thing as all the scalpers. I said the big thing with scalpers is you cannot buy from them even if you have the money. Even if you can afford to pay $4,000 for the brand new graphics card, don't do it. Every time you pay a scalper that, you're allowing them to do it 3 or 4 more times. You get what I'm saying? It's such a ballooning effect that participating in scalping even once, it's hard to say. It's the next time it's just once, it's 4 people instead of just 1. You get what I'm saying? It blows out of proportion so fast that to destroy scalping as a practice, you have to have a 0 tolerance, no participation policy. So... what else do we have? Ben Smith says, I never steal in this game. It ruins your reputation. It's easier with alchemy method or hunting heavily armored bandits. That's true. The best way to do it is just to hunt bandits, because that improves your reputation, and you can make tons and tons of money doing it. So, as long as you're good at fighting or you've figured out archery, that is the best way to go. Switch to Edge. Not kidding. Took the Edge pill. I'm so used to Chrome, and I use Chrome extensions, and I've got so much stuff. It would be such a pain in the ass. I know I've heard that Edge is pretty good, but I know Chrome is a RAM hog. I know it is. We'll see what happens. There's some possibility at some point that I will maybe take the plunge in and switch over to Edge, but I'm so used to Chrome. I was an early adopter of Chrome. I switched to Chrome basically right away. You know, back when a lot of people were still like, oh, maybe Opera Mini, or maybe Internet Explorer is not for glue-eating idiots, or maybe Firefox, you know, all these sorts of things. And I was like, Chrome. I immediately adopted Chrome, and I've been using it ever since. So I'm just way too familiar with it. Lexi1397 says, I'm going to lay down. I'm getting tired. I will still be listening. Don't worry. We're actually going to be quitting the stream soon. I'm just chatting for a little bit yet. Redneck Zeus says, I use Brave. Mythos Irving says, I loved Chrome, but I had to switch. Like I said, it might happen for me. We'll see what happens, you know. I never say never on things like switching products or whatever, because for a good chunk of my gaming life, I was a PlayStation guy, but I made the switch to PC, and now I can't imagine going back, you know, so we'll do that. But that's where I'm going to end the stream. Had a lot of fun today. We've had a 2-hour and 45-minute stream, or thereabouts. Oh, I'm just stretching a little bit. Gotta stretch, it's good for you. Anyway, I don't know. Should I do what other streamers do? Keep being yourself, stay hydrated, drink some water, go out and kill a turkey with your bare hands and cover yourself with its blood and guts, all of those things. you do you, something, etc. No, I'm not. I'm gonna sign off like I always do. Thanks everyone for tuning in, especially all of our new people. Mythos serving, it was awesome to see you. Light223 says good show, and that's awesome. Of course, our oldies but goodies. We got our Lexi1397 and Karina Smirnoff. Thanks for being mods in the chat. It's always useful. Estonian Gamer, thanks for being active. I know you don't want me to go, but I do have to. Well, I don't have to. I could do whatever I want. I could blow off all my other obligations and just stay doing this for ever and ever and ever. I could stay here until I die from sepsis from sitting in my own waste. But I'm not going to do that because this is America or something. So, thanks everyone. Cy D, of course. Thanks for you turning in. That was fun. Nico, you break my heart. Yes, bye everyone. See you next time. I'll be streaming next week Tuesday, so it's not going to be that long. Thanks for tuning in.